Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Harem with Hinata Anko Tenten and Ino Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And comment for next part. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto walked peacefully through the streets of Konoha heading towards his favorite training ground. He couldn't take more than 10 steps without someone asking for an autograph or some girl to ask him out on a date. He ran his hand through his shaggy blonde hair as he turned down another request for a woman who before the war wouldn't have given him the time of day. "I need to get a haircut," Naruto said as he noticed how shaggy his hair had become. Yet again another woman asked him out and another child asked for an autograph. He happily signed the autograph and again turned the woman down. He shrugged his shoulders and took off out of the village wanting to practice his summons and Rasengan variations. He reached his favorite training area. It was a peaceful stream near a waterfall. The sound of the water always calmed him after a long day. Naruto, Kumara gained his attention. Naruto closed his eyes and fell into his metal realm to speak with the nine-tailed fox. "What's up, Kumara?" Naruto asked, facing the massive chakra monster. "When are you going to grow up and get a girl?" Kumara asked. "What the hell brought this on?" Naruto asked, looking confused at the nine tails. "I've grown attached to you, Naruto. I desire to see you happy now," Kumara explained, lowering his head to look at Naruto closer. "Well, I don't know, most girls just want to date the hero, not Naruto Uzumaki," Naruto replied. Kurama rolled his massive eyes and chuckled lightly. "What about that girl with the eyes?" he asked, pointed a clawed finger toward his eyes. "Who, Hinata?" Naruto asked, trying to think of a girl with those eyes that he meant. "Yes, she openly said she loved you," Kurama replied. "I don't know how I feel about her as all," Naruto replied, seeing Kurama lift his head. "Someone is coming," Kumara said, sniffing. "Yeah, I can feel her too," Naruto replied, taking notice to a presence moving towards them. He quickly figured out who it was thanks to the less than benign chakra. "Her, you know who it is?" Kumara asked. "Yeah, it's Anko," Naruto said. "Why is she looking for you?" Kumara asked. "Not sure if she is, but time to go see," Naruto said, leaving his mind. Naruto jumped up just as Anko walked into the area. She stopped, seeing Naruto. "Oh, I didn't think anyone would be out here," Anko said, looking at Naruto. "Neither did I," Naruto said, looking at Anko. "Why are you out here?" Anko asked. "Training you," Naruto asked. "Same, but there isn't enough space for you. How about we spar for who gets the spot?" Anko said with a mischievous grin. "Not a good idea," Naruto said, shaking his head. "What, am I not good enough?" Anko asked. "No, you're not. I would pulverize you," Naruto said idly. "You are an annoying little piss ant," Anko growled. "I might be, but I know how strong you are compared to me," Naruto shrugged. "Oh, that's it, we are fighting and I am shutting the mouth of yours," Anko growled, losing her temper. "If it means that much to you, the area is all yours," Naruto said, starting to leave. "Oh hell no, I want to fight you now," Anko retorted. "I have nothing to gain," Naruto replied. "Fine, how about we make a wager then?" Anko said, hardly thinking she was seething with how he looked down on her. Fine, what do you wager and what should I wager?" Naruto asked, turning around. "Ourselves, if I beat you you're my slave and vice versa," Anko said. "What?" Naruto asked, taken completely off balance. He could hear Kumara busting a gut in his mind. "You heard me," Anko replied, her mind clearing to comprehend what she had said. "Yeah, winner takes the other as a submissive for whatever they chose." "You're kidding me, right?" Naruto asked. Anko reacted by biting her thumb and summoning something. Naruto watched as a small pitch-black snake with green eyes and a writing quill for a tail appeared before them. "I haven't been summoned in such a long time," the snake said, looking to Anko. "Get a contract summon out," Anko growled, still mad. "I didn't agree to this," Naruto replied. "Do it or I am going to attack and keep attacking until I kill you," Anko said with a grin. Naruto rolled his eyes and bit his thumb and closed his eyes, having to concentrate to summon something he had never summoned before. The smoke cleared and a small yellow frog sat, a scroll in one webbed hand and a quill in the other. Naruto Uzumaki, why did you summon me? The frog asked. Ask her, she demanded. I summon you, Naruto replied. The frog turned to see the snake and cracked up laughing the moment she made contact with the Sankei. Oh, my long time no see, Murdara, the frog said. Yes, it has been, Gamateshi, Murdara replied. His voice was deep and cold. So this is obviously a contract of servitude with you being here, Gamateshi said. Yes, that is the only contacts I do, Murdara replied, revealing a scroll from his stomach. So who is the dominate one and who is the submissive? The summons both asked. Hasn't been decided, Anko replied. Well, a contract can't be written until we know SSSO get to it, Murdara replied, clearly annoyed. The garden snake is right, Gamateshi replied. Murdara hissed at Gamateshi. Fine then, let's do this, Naruto, Anko growled. Last chance, back out or I will beat you down, Naruto said on his last straw. Bring it on, Anko retorted, pulling out a kunai. Naruto gave a sigh and drew a kunai, readying himself for Anko's angered assault. Anko moved first, throwing her kunai. Naruto caught the kunai and returned it with one of his own. Anko flipped backwards, narrowly dodging the speeding kunais. If you give up now, I won't make you my sub, Naruto said, not wanting a submissive in the first place. Like hell, I'm going to make you my little bitch, Anko said, raising her hands, sending several snakes at him. Naruto rolled his eyes and was gone an instant later, having lost interest in his battle with her. I'm a lot faster since I fused my chakra with Kurama's, Naruto said from behind Anko. She quickly whirled around, a kunai in hand. Naruto sidestepped her wild slash and grabbed her arm, wrenching the kunai from her grasp. Just as he moved to grab her other arm, he saw a snake spring out of her sleeve. He barely dodged it, the snake's fangs sunk into his arm rather than his face. I told you, IGE, Anko started to see before the snake burst into flames and the venom was pushed out of the bite mark. Another handy feature that Kurama gave me, Naruto grinned, his arm turned yellow as Kurama's chakra cleansed his system. Just beat her already, Kit, Kurama's voice echoed in his mind. Kit? Really, what the hell? Naruto asked, still holding Anko at bay. Just end it and give her a good, Kurama growled lustfully. Why the hell do you want me to her? Naruto asked, confused. Release for you is release for me, Kurama said rather disgustingly. That's gross, Naruto replied, chuckling lightly. What can I say? I am a male fox and you have a rather foxy woman stuck in your grasp, Kurama laughed. Really, that was a bad pun, Naruto said. You need yourself a girl or two, so start claiming them, Kurama laughed. You seriously think I want some submissive snake-loving batshit crazy chick under me in any way? Naruto asked. Just take a look at her for a moment. She may seem mad but she loves this, Kurama replied, causing Naruto to pause and turn his attention to Anko, whom he still rather easily held at bay. And no shit, Kurama was right, she was enjoying this. Just a moment, Anko. What happens if you lose? Have you put any thought into that? Naruto asked, releasing her and jumping back. Yes, I'm your slave for whatever you want. A bitch to cook, a whore to clean, whatever I have to do I will do, but I won't lose. So, Anko grinned, not letting her guard down for even an instant. You already have, Naruto said, starting to like the idea of Anko cooking and cleaning for him. The free would just be a bonus. So what do you think, Kurama? And don't let your weird desire for release affect your judgment, Naruto asked. Fine, in truth I think she has some subconscious need for a master figure and she wants to be a slave. She just has that look, the need to be dominated wholly and completely, Kurama explained. Sadly, I think you're right. Fine, I'll end it, Naruto said, returning to the fight as hand. Anko rushed him, kunais in both hands. Naruto was gone before her eyes and appeared behind her, taking both of her arms into his hands. He gave a swift kick to the back of her knees, dropping her down. Another Naruto stood a few feet away holding a Rasengan and charged in. Submit, Naruto commanded as the other Naruto closed in. Anko's voice acted before she thought. I submit, she cried out as the Rasengan-wielding Naruto was inches from her. The other Naruto vanished along with the Rasengan. We have R, dominate, and R, submissive, Gamateshi said, rolling out a scroll alongside Madara. Yes, now how far should his command control her? Madara asked, looking at Gamateshi. Completely. If he gives her a command, as long as it isn't life-threatening, she will have to obey and follow his orders, Gamateshi replied. Sounds good. The two summons wrote for several minutes. What about her duties? Cleaning, cooking, SS advances, ninja mission SSS, cleanliness, Madara asked. His constant strain on his S was starting to annoy Naruto. Cleaning and cooking are obvious. As for ninja mission, the dominate must review the mission and deem it a non-life-threatening mission. And she must comply to all command excluding sharing her with other men, unless she agrees to it, Gamateshi replied as the work continued to work until they had a full and binding contract. Not bad, everything looks SS set. Now for the signature SSS, Madara slithered over to Naruto. Sign these spots SS, Madara commanded, pointing to several spots before he handed him his quilled tail. Naruto nodded and scribed down his name in all the spots. Now for some blood on this bottom line, Madara commanded. Naruto nodded and bit his thumb, pressing it to the seal. Gamateshi had just finished with Anko when Naruto finished with Madara. The two summons switched and the process started over. These contracts demand a witness, Madara said, looking to Gamateshi. The Hokage would be best. That way she can send mission to Anko that wouldn't be life-threatening, Gamateshi replied. I'm not sure that's a good idea. She might frown on this, Naruto replied. She can frown all she wants. If she tried to destroy these contracts she will die, Gamateshi replied, seeming almost evil. You'd kill her for that? Anko asked, shocked. No, the full force of the contract would repulse onto her, Madara spoke before Gamateshi could. She would either die or she would take your place, Gamateshi replied, pointing at Anko. Now then, let's go inform the Hokage of this. The frog landed on Naruto's head while the snake slid up his back and onto his shoulders. Anko, go get your arms checked for any damage, Naruto commanded. Yes, sir, Anko answered as he left. Sir. Why did I say sir? Oh, it must have been something in the contract. Anko moved after Naruto harangued the Konoha hospital. Tsunade sat behind her desk deep in thought as she read over the requests for the Chunin exams that were to be held in a few months. She looked up to see Shizune placing some tea in front of her. You're almost done with your paperwork, that's amazing, Tsunade-sama, Shizune smiled. Both of their attentions were instantly grabbed by the orange-clad blonde-haired ninja walked in with a yellow frog on his head and a pitch-black snake on his shoulders. Naruto, are those contract summons? Tsunade asked in shock, not having seen one in many, many years. Yes, they will explain, Naruto said, sitting down in a chair as the two summons moved to the desk. Gamateshi gave a bow to Tsunade, as did Madara. Madara gave a nod to Gamateshi, whom pulled the contract scroll out of her stomach just as Madara did. Naruto Uzumaki and Anko Mitarashi have entered a contractually binding master and slave, dominate and submissive relationship in where Anko is Naruto's slave for his desires, Gamateshi replied. Shizune's face paled and she nearly fainted when she heard the frog explain their reason for being there. Tsunade, on the other hand, was furious. What? Tsunade jumped up shouting at Naruto. What the do you think you're doing, Naruto? It was not Master Uzumaki that demanded this. Little Anko pushed it to USSS, Madara hissed his quill on another seal. I can't accept this, you will undo this contract this instant, Tsunade commanded. I knew you would say that, Gamateshi replied, giving a nod to Madara. This contract can't be broken. If you try to break it, it may kill you, Madara said, gaining Tsunade's full attention. Like hell. Naruto, end this now, Tsunade replied. He can't. Gamateshi replied. What, why not? Tsunade asked. Come no, have you never dealt with contract summons SS before? Murdara replied, starting to get annoyed. Only to gain the ability to summon slugs, Tsunade replied, trying to calm herself. Well, how difficult would it be for you to break your contract with them? Gamateshi asked. It can't be once you've chosen a summon that what you get no changes, Tsunade said, starting to understand. This contract works the same for all intents and purposes. Anko belongs SS to Naruto now, Murdara said, rolling out the end of his contract just as Gamateshi did. Now we need a witness, so if you would, Gamateshi said. Tsunade took the scroll and started to read it over. Her face paled as she read. She couldn't believe how extensive this contract was. It covered everything from eating and sleeping to training and mission to end children. I guess I have no choice. Tsunade shook her head and scribed her name on the witness line on both contracts, then added her blood print on them. Anko Mitarashi is now sealed into the servitude of Naruto Uzumaki, the summons said in unison. The seals are set. The both vanished in plumes of smoke. What the Naruto? Tsunade asked. Shizune was still too shocked to speak. Hey, I didn't want to do it in the first place, but she pushed and pushed. Didn't you, Anko? Naruto said, looking to Anko, whom walked into the room. Yes, Naruto-sama. Anko spoke, mentally chastising herself for calling him Sama. I'll let you explain exactly what you did. Naruto pointed to the floor, indicating her to stand there and explain everything to Tsunade. And explain she did. She spent almost an hour explaining until Tsunade finally gave in and begrudgingly accepted the fact that she couldn't do anything but give in and ask Naruto to be good to his new slave, because she still had missions to do. Naruto stood in the street pondering on what to do with Anko. He could just tell her to live as if he never defeated her, or he could be a full-blown master. Anko stood a few feet away, unable to think of anything other than serving Naruto to her fullest. What is wrong with me? I can't focus on anything when I'm near him. Anko closed her eyes, trying to clear her mind. Anko, follow me, Naruto said, making Anko's eyes snap open and quickly moved to follow Naruto. The two moved through the village, heading towards his home. So what are you going to do, Kit? Kurama's voice echoed. Two things. One, stop calling me Kit. And two, I have no idea, Naruto replied. How about you the hell out of her, then have her make you a sandwich, Kurama grinned. You know that sounds rather, Naruto replied. Bullshit, you own her, Kurama replied, starting to laugh. Naruto shook his head, trying to forget his comment and laugh. Is everything okay, Naruto-sama? Anko asked, making a few civilians stop hearing that statement. Yeah, I'm fine, just thinking, Naruto replied. Did she just call me Sama? Naruto asked himself. Oh, she did, and she's been doing it for a while, Kurama said. Naruto saw his apartment and pushed Kurama back into his mind, letting himself focus. Hey Sakura, did you hear the news? Ino asked, running up to the Pinkett. What news? Sakura asked, confused. Naruto and Anko, Ino replied. Together. Sakura asked, stunned. She called him Naruto-sama, Ino said. What the? Sakura said, completely confused. She's been following him all day too, Ino added. That's just weird, Sakura added. I know, it's like she's his slave or something, Ino said as Shizune walked up, effectively silencing both of them. Shizune, how are you today? Sakura asked. I have to ask you to not spread that rumor too much, Shizune said, leaning into them. Why not? Ino asked. Because it's not what you think, so please don't spread it too much, Shizune said with a soft smile. Okay, we won't, the two girls said, but both wanted to know more, and they both knew how they were going to get their information, directly from the source. Naruto sat on his bed, Anko in a chair a few feet from him. He rubbed his chin while he tried to think of what to do. Naruto-sama, would you like me to make you something to eat? Anko asked, looking at Naruto. That actually sounds good, Naruto said, giving her a nod. What would you like? Anko asked. She couldn't figure out why she was acting so strange. Whatever you can make will be fine, Naruto said, still trying to figure out what he was going to do. Anko moved to his kitchen and started to make something rather quickly. What should I do? And I want a real answer, Naruto asked, now standing in his inner realm, the nine-tailed fox a few feet from him. Honesty, I say take the win and keep her, Kurama replied with surprising seriousness. Seriously though, you think I should keep her? Naruto asked. Yes, keep her and treat her right. Show her that she is in fact the lucky winner to have you, Kurama said, finally getting Naruto to accept his role and snapped him out of his confused funk. Anko walked in to see Naruto sitting, his eyes closed and his breathing low. He must be talking to the nine-tailed fox. Anko set down a plate of food. The smell drifted into Naruto's nose. I smell food, Kurama said as their talking came to an end. You're right, she must have finished cooking, Naruto said, leaving his inner world. Naruto opened his eyes to see a plate of food before him. A bowl of rice, udon noodles, and several dango sticks. I'm not sure how good of a cook I am, Anko said as Naruto picked up the noodles. If they taste half as good as they smell, they will be fine, Naruto said, looking to see Anko had no food. Help yourself. I won't make it to the dango so you can have it, Naruto said. Anko nodded and took the plate of dango and started to eat. Her eyes kept moving to Naruto as he ate, hoping for a good reaction. When her eyes weren't on him, they were on the pigsty of a place he called home. Naruto-sama. Anko gained his attention. Yes, he asked. You could live with me, I have a much nicer place, Anko said somewhat nervously. Naruto stopped and nodded. That's a good idea. More space, easier for two, Naruto said, finishing his noodles and moving to the rice. We can start moving as soon as you want then, Anko said, blushing, knowing all the weird stuff she was doing, blushing, acting nervously, calling him Sama and Sir, wanting to service him had to be in the contact affecting her ability to think for herself. And sadly she was starting to like it. Sounds good, so this contract means I can do just about anything? Naruto asked, making Anko's heart race. What was he going to ask her to do? Why, yes, Anko replied nervously. So here's my question. If I asked you to have with me before this contract, would you? Naruto asked. I would have been annoyed with your approach, but, yes, I think I would have, Anko answered, blushing. You mean it? Naruto asked. Yes, I've always liked how you looked, so I wouldn't have argued for long, Anko replied. So what are you willing to do, Lee? Naruto asked. Anything Naruto-sama wants to do, Anko replied. Well, first off, we are changing how you dress, Naruto said, leaving the topic in a blur. Okay, how do you want me to dress? Anko asked. No more mesh, I don't want you showing anything off to anyone but me. So at least shorts and a tank top, Naruto said. Yes, Naruto-sama, Anko replied, knowing she would have a lot of shopping to do. Anko's eyes trailed down Naruto's body as he sat thinking, or talking to the nine tails. Her eyes reached his crotch and stopped. She could see a large bulge. She gulped slightly, wanting it. She didn't care that she was a slave now, the contract probably helped with that. You're staring, Naruto said, snapping Anko's gaze away from his concealed manhood. Sorry, I was just, okay, I was staring, Anko replied, trying to cover her tracks, but she failed rather epically. I don't want you to feel contractually obligated to pleasure me, Naruto said. I don't, but I want to, Anko started before she felt too embarrassed to speak. If you really want it, prove it, Naruto said with a sly grin. Anko stood and started to strip, slowly and seductively. Her hips swayed as she started to dance for her new master. Naruto watched as she danced, his eyes widened. He didn't tell her to dance, but hell, he was going to enjoy the show. She pulled out her hair tie, letting it fall around her shoulders. She spun and twisted around, starting to get into her dance. This is fun. Why is it so fun? Anko thought as she continued to dance, slowly removing clothing as she did. Naruto felt his mouth go dry as her coat fell off her shoulders. He could hear Kumara cackling in the back of his mind. Anko's hands started to slowly trace down her body, stopping at her hips and the hem of her mesh shirt. Naruto could feel his erection painful pushing against his fly as he watched Anko's strip tease. He watched every sway of her hips and every curve of her body. He ed his lips, wanting to take her more and more. Okay, stop, Naruto said, stopping Anko just as she hooked her fingers through the last garment she was wearing, her panties. She looked at Naruto and waited for a command. Naruto took a breath and pointed down at his restrained manhood. Anko took the hint and walked as seductively as she could towards him. She knelt down in front of him, her hands moved up his legs. Naruto sat back slightly, letting her get a good look at him. She bit her lip lightly before she lightly pulled down his fly and freed his. She gave a gulp, seeing his size. He wasn't just in doubt, he was downright hung like a horse. Anko leaned in slightly, wrapping both her hands around his shaft and gave him a slow to gauge his reaction. Naruto gave a light smile and simply watched her. Anko's desire surfaced and she quickly wrapped her lips around his thickness and took him in. Damn, your mouth is tight, Naruto groaned as she took more of him into her mouth. She quickly felt him hit the back of her throat. Anko looked up at Naruto to see him with his eyes closed, simply enjoying the feeling of her mouth and throat. She stroked the length that she wouldn't be able to take down and worked her lips and tongue over the portion in her mouth. She could feel his throbbing in her mouth. One of Naruto's hands ran through her hair as his breathing was becoming more ragged as her mouth pushed him towards his limit. I'm gonna come, Anko, Naruto grunted as he tried to slow her. Anko away, ignoring his warning. Naruto grabbed Anko's head and erupted into her mouth. Anko drank down his seed. Wave after wave of seed sprayed down her throat. So much, Anko pulled off his, gulping down the last mouthful. I still got more too, Naruto said with a smile. Anko looked to see he was still rock hard. She couldn't hide a smile or the fact that she wanted more. What do you want this time, Naruto-sama? Anko asked. The main course, Naruto hinted to her wetness. Anko stood, a smile coming to her face. How would you like me first? Anko asked. On top. I want to watch you ride me, Naruto said as he patted his lap. Anko mounted him, his member against her thigh. I'm not sure I can take it all, Anko said, taking his steely in her hand, starting to rub it over her femininity. Well, take all you can then, Naruto said as his head penetrated her. Anko placed her hands on his shoulder, steadying herself as she lowered onto the large of her master. She had to stop over and over as she adjusted to his girth. God, you're so thick, it hurts, Anko groaned, lowering still. Naruto took her hips, helping her lower onto his. It took several minutes, but she finally managed to take the majority of his manhood. Anko started to move as she felt herself adjusted to his size. She quickly started to bounce as fast as she could, falling to her lust. Naruto started to help her bounce, picking up her speed. Ah, Naruto, it's so good, she ed out. Naruto said nothing and started to thrust upwards as she came down. Anko wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck as she now rode with everything she had. Naruto tightened his grip slightly, feeling he desired to dominate his woman starting to take its hold. Anko felt herself hit the mattress. Naruto now laid over her. She moved her hands from his neck to the bed sheets, allowing him to have a full view of her body as he pumped into her. Naruto started thrusting into Anko with everything he had. His eyes trailed over her body as he did. Anko ed out each time he buried himself inside her. More, Anko ed again and again, desperate for more of her master. Naruto didn't need her to beg, he wasn't even remotely done with her. He leaned in, starting to kiss her neck and shoulders while one hand grasped and caressed her. I told you she is a natural born submissive, a voice echoed in Naruto's head. Not now, busy, Naruto replied, inwardly throwing Kumara's voice away, focusing on his sub. Anko still laid under him, still begged for more and ing his name each time he planted himself inside her. Her hands gripped the sheets, threatening to rip them from her ecstasy overload. I can't last, Naruto-sama, Anko ed climaxing onto Naruto's. Naruto gave an audible grunt, feeling her walls tightly coil around him as she came. Shit, here it comes, Naruto said, bursting into Anko's. Thick waves of seed filled her as he pumped through his release. Anko nearly screamed in pleasure as he filled her. She felt so full, something she had never felt before. She had had before, but it had never felt this good or left her wanted more. Anko started to move but fell the moment her exhaustion hit her. She passed out from the pleasure overload. Naruto rolled off her and covered her before he moved to his bathroom. Naruto stood in his shower, his mind mulling over having Anko as a literal slave. He closed his eyes, knowing he wouldn't be much help, but he wanted the advice of the nine-tailed beast. So what do you think? Naruto asked, looking up at Kumara, whom laid in his open cage. What do you mean? What do I think? I already told you. Keep her and be good to her, Kumara replied, rolling to his side. I know, but it feels weird having someone under me like this, Naruto retorted. Why? Because you had some thought of a happy family with Sakura or Hinata? Kumara asked, a grin coming to his face. Maybe a little, Naruto replied. Well, Hinata, yes, but Sakura obviously sees you as a friend, or maybe even worse, a brother, Kumara explained. So what, I should just have a slave? Naruto asked. No, get a couple, have your own harem, Kumara joked, still grinning. That would be something, Naruto replied, smiling. Having any girl I want at any time, Naruto joked back, sitting down. Yeah, just start taming all the girls, the blonde, Hinata, that one sand girl, Sakura, hell why not that black-haired girl that follows the Hokage, Kumara said. The blonde? Naruto asked, knowing the other two were Temari and Shizune. Yeah, she has the really long hair and follows the smart dude and fat around, Kumara smiled. Hey, Choji isn't that fat, but Ino would be something, finally getting to such her mouth, Naruto laughed. Oh, by the way, you haven't been alone the last few minutes, Kumara replied, closing his eyes. How she freaking passed out, Naruto said, finally taking note to the woman what was currently rubbing soap on his back. Anko, Naruto said as he returned to the shower. I thought you like help washing your back, Anko answered his unasked question. Oh well, keep going, Naruto replied, letting her clean him. I would like to do that again, Anko said. Oh, we will, Naruto replied, turning to face Anko. But first we need to move my shit to your place, Naruto added as Anko started to wash his chest. A few people owe me a favor, they can help you move, Anko said as her hands trailed down his body, washing his stomach and groin. That'll work, Naruto said, grabbing Anko and pinning her to the wall. But now I want that again, Naruto grinned. It's all your, Naruto-sama, Anko said, spreading her legs for him. Naruto kissed her neck and slid 2 fingers into her. Anko gasped, surprised by his fingers' sudden penetration. Naruto continued to kiss her neck as his fingers started to move inside her. Anko started to lightly as her master's fingers moved inside her. Naruto-sama, please don't stop, Anko grabbed onto him, holding herself up as her knees became weak. I didn't intend on stopping until you come on my hand, Naruto replied, starting to finger faster. Anko hunched over her body against Naruto's as he moved his fingers faster. Anko could feel her climax already approaching. She wouldn't be able to hold put much longer. I can't last, too sensitive, Anko ed, barely able to hold herself up. Then let go, Naruto said, grinding his palm against her, successfully throwing her over the edge. Naruto, Anko cried out as she came onto his hand. Naruto held her up as the strength in her legs vanished. Naruto shut the water off and helped her out of the shower. I could get used to this, Naruto said as he picked Anko up and carried her out of the bathroom. So could I, Anko replied, starting to nibble at his neck. Naruto chuckled lightly, feeling the tickling from Anko's lips on his neck. Get some sleep, we can start packing once you wake, Naruto said, putting the wet Anko into his bed. Yes, Naruto-sama, Anko said, rolling over and quickly falling asleep. A week had passed for Naruto and Anko. They had moved into Anko's much larger home and had just about christened each surface in the home with their sweaty bodies. But the last 2 days were boring as hell. Tsunade had sent Anko on a mission that specifically requested her for her interrogation ability. Naruto had carefully read over the mission details and dubbed it easy enough for her. After all, he hadn't just been her. He had been using their copious amounts to plant some of Kurama's chakra into her that would activate should she end up in mortal danger. Naruto walked through the village, his orange jacket left at home. He walked around in just his pants and black t-shirt. Hey Naruto, a voice called to him. Naruto turned to see Ino and Sakura walking up to him. His eyes trailed over Ino for a moment. She looked freaking hot today. She wore a pair of tight black pants that Naruto loved to see on a hot woman, yoga pants. And a blue sleeveless shirt. She had clearly been training or something when she came looking for him. While Sakura on the other hand wore her usual outfit, but she had started to grow her hair out again. What can I do for you two? Naruto asked. What's with you and Anko? They asked in unison. Naruto cracked a grin and rolled his eyes. That's none of your business, Naruto said with a smile that creped out both girls. Tame them, Kurama shouted, making Naruto visibly shake his head. What was that? Sakura asked. Kurama made a joke, Naruto said, smiling again. Who's Kurama? Ino asked. The nine-tailed fox, his name is Kurama, Naruto said. Ooh, tame that one first, Kurama's voice echoed out. Dude, what the is with you? Naruto asked, going into his mind for a moment. What do you mean? Kurama asked. I already have a girl and you want me to get another? Naruto asked. TCH, you don't have a girl, you have a slave, Kurama replied. Having one means you could get more, he added. I'll get back to you on that, Naruto said, returning his attention to the girls. You spacing out on us, knucklehead? Ino asked, glaring at him. No, and I have a name as well. It's Naruto, not Knucklehead, Naruto said, his eyes twitched for a moment. He was beyond sick of Ino's insulting nicknames for him. She would make such a nice submissive bitch. Just think, she bitches and you shove your in her mouth. Boom, she shuts up, Kurama said, causing Naruto to burst out with laughter right in front of the girls. What now? Sakura asked. Nothing, drop it, okay? It doesn't affect you, so leave it, Naruto said, walking away, still laughing lightly. Fine. Like I give a shit in the first place, Sakura said, leaving Ino in thought. Ino, you coming? Sakura asked. No, I'm way too interested to drop it, Ino said, starting to follow Naruto. Sakura shook her head and walked away, knowing once she sunk her teeth into gossip it was impossible to break her from it. Naruto reached his favorite spot to meditate, and by meditate he meant talk to Kurama. Okay, what the? Naruto said, looking up at Kurama, whom laid with grinning in his open cage. What? Kurama asked. What the hell was that about? Naruto asked. I have no idea what you're talking about, Kurama said, laughing lightly. You made me burst out in laughter in front of Ino and Sakura, Naruto said, looking up at Kurama. I thought it was funny, he replied. No doubt, but why? Naruto asked, starting to smile. Kurama finally lost it and burst out into laughter. Your face was priceless. I can't remember the last time I laughed this hard, he said. And I'm the knucklehead, Naruto said, rolling his eyes. So are you going to tame her? Kurama asked suddenly. What? Naruto asked. That blonde girl, you know, the one with the bitchy mouth. Kurama asked. I'm not going to tame Ino, Naruto retorted. Oh come now, you were staring at her, and I give you props, she is hot, for a human, Kurama said, still grinning. Yes, she is really pretty, but she would never willingly be my submissive, Naruto replied. Oh, but you would like her as one? He asked. Of course I would, Naruto replied, then paused. Where did that come from? It's your alpha male nature peeking through. Might be a little bit my fault, Kurama replied. What do you mean? Naruto asked. You've had me living in you for 18 years, 2 of which we have been on good terms and we even became friends. I'm starting to rub off on you, Kurama explained. And after all, I am the ultimate alpha male. The 9-tailed demon fox. Kurama added. So my willingness to have multiple slaves is your fault? Naruto asked. Probably, Kurama said. Okay, we are done for now, I need to train, Naruto said, leaving Kurama to his laughter. Ino carefully watched Naruto. He had just finished training and now only stood in his orange pants. Ino hated herself for it, but she could feel her mouth watering at the sight of the hunk that Naruto had become. Ninja art. Mind transfer jutsu. Ninja art. Mind walking jutsu, Ino said, doubling up on her jutsus to hit Naruto as he sat down. Ino's body dropped onto the pillow she had set up, knowing she would drop. Naruto noticed a second too late that someone was there. So this is Naruto's mind, Ino said, looking around. It's the bitchy girl, a voice said from behind Ino. She froze, feeling a hot wind on her. Face me, little one, the voice commanded. Ino slowly turned to see the 9-tailed fox standing half out of his cage. He stared down at Ino and ed his lips. Kurama, I take it, Ino said with an audible gulp. Don't say my name, you're not close enough to Naruto for me to allow that, Kurama growled. To you I am Kyubi, he added. Okay Kyubi, I should be going. Ino started to raise her hands when Kurama laughed lightly. Release. Ino spoke, but yet she remained. You can't leave unless I allow it, you're trapped within my chakra, Kurama spoke as he lowered to face the girl. Please, I'll never invade Naruto's mind again, I just wanted some answers, Ino said, starting to become afraid for her own mind. What answers? Kurama asked. What going on between Anko and Naruto? Ino said. I could tell you that, but then again, what's in it for me? Kurama said, lying down to face the girl. What would you want? Ino asked. I could think of a few things, Kurama grinned. Kurama let Ino go. Naruto's voice came like a cool breeze. His presence felt like a weight was taken off Ino's shoulders. She invaded your mind, Kurama retorted. And I'll punish her for it, Naruto said clearly and annoyed with her intrusion and Kurama. I'm sorry Naruto, I let my need for gossip get the better of me, Ino said, worried. How best to punish you? You need to understand that invading a fellow leaf ninja's mind is a bad thing to do, especially when that mind holds a monster within it, Naruto said, rubbing his chin slightly. I'll do anything, just don't let Kyubi eat me, Ino said, looking at Naruto. Kurama doesn't eat people. Not anymore, Naruto said. Here's the deal. You get out of my mind and you owe me one later, Naruto said. Oh come on, at least make her you, Kurama said. Give that tight a go, he added, making Naruto laugh. Ino looked at Naruto, worried. No, that would be rape and I won't do that. Anko is willing in her position under me, Naruto argued. Holy crap, Anko is having with Naruto. And she is willing, Ino thought as Naruto turned his attention to Ino. Go, you owe me one, Naruto said, sending her out. Ino shot up and looked straight to Naruto, whom stood in the field looking up at her. Ino gave a nod and ran off. I can't tell anyone about this. They would never believe me. Ino reached the village in her apartment. She stepped inside and leaned against the door. Her heart felt like it was going to burst from her chest. Never again, Ino said. That Kurama is just too scary. She wiped away some sweat and moved further into her apartment. Ino laid on her bed, showered and rested. She slowly drifted off. She couldn't figure out why, but she was dead tired. Ino ran with everything she had. A demonic roar followed her as she ducked between street and alley, trying to escape the demon. I'll have you soon, Kurama's voice echoed. Naruto, 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 Ino called, trying to find the blonde-haired ninja. She knew he was the only one that could bring down the fox. You little bitch, he protects you from me, and what, you continue to ignore him? I'll eat you alive, Kurama shouted. His claws narrowly missed her. Shit, Ino jumped, landing on a rooftop to see Naruto standing on the Hokage's monument, his back to the village. Once again, Kurama's claws narrowly missed her as she started to move towards him. Naruto, you have to stop, Kurama. Ino grabbed Naruto. He turned, showing his eyes had become red, his teeth were sharpened, and the lines on his face had thickened. The nine-tailed fox was in control of his body. Why would I help you? Kurama's voice came from Naruto. No. Ino screamed as she shot up from her bed in a cold sweat. She looked around to see she was alone in her room. What the hell was that? Ino said, dropping back onto her bed. Naruto walked through the village bored as hell. Anko was still gone on her mission, thus leaving him without something to do, or someone in this case. Hey Naruto, Ino's voice came out. No answers, Ino. I already told you to drop it, Naruto said, turning to face Ino. He paused, seeing her. She was sweaty and looked exhausted. Nightmares, I would assume. How did you know? Ino asked. Wasn't hard to guess, you were stuck in Kurama's chakra for a while after all, Naruto said. I owe you a thank you. Let me make you some ramen or something, Ino said nervously. Sure. I'll meet you at Ichiraku too, Naruto replied. I said make, not buy, Ino said with a blush. Oh, still sounds good, Naruto replied. I can be at your place at 2 then, Ino said. I live with Anko, Naruto said, pulling out some paper, giving her his new address. Wow, it's really serious between you guys, Ino said. Like I said, no questions, Naruto said, walking away. Oh, what did I tell you, alpha male? Kurama said, laughing. Shut up, Naruto said, cracking a smile. Just think of it. Her hot, sweaty, and loving it, Kurama said with a grin. Oh, stop. I don't want to get a boner during lunch, Naruto replied. I bet she couldn't last 5 minutes before she's begging for more, Kurama grinned. Dude, stop. She doesn't want to be with me, Naruto replied. Get her to sign the contract, then she'd love it, Kurama laughed. Okay, that's enough, Naruto said, shaking out of his own mind. He didn't need those thoughts in his head. Naruto sat on his couch, freshly showered and bored. He was wondering if he was going to get a mission. A soft knock came to the door. Come in, Ino, Naruto said as the door opened and Ino walked in. She held a bag of food and a blush on her face. He could easily tell she was nervous about something. Where is the kitchen? Ino asked. Naruto stood and led her towards it. Ino still blushed. She couldn't tell what it was, but there was something about Naruto that made her feel flushed and nervous. Ino stood in the kitchen washing the dishes along with Naruto after their meal. She handed a bowl to Naruto. As she did, his fingers ran over hers, making pull back and the bowl to fall. Naruto easily caught it and dried it off, giving Ino a lingering stare. Little slippery he asked with a very sly grin. Yay, Ino said, trying to contain herself, which failed miserably. Okay, please, what's going on between you and Anko? Please tell me, Ino begged, her shoulders dropping as she looked up. No, Ino, the only way I'd ever tell you is if you joined her, Naruto said, then quickly looked away, noticing what he had said. Join her? Ino asked. Nothing, forget it, Naruto said, taking the other bowl from Ino. This time she purposely dropped the bowl to get Naruto to reach for it. As he did, she leaned in and put her lips against his. The bowl smashed into the drop and surprisingly survived the fall. But neither of them cared about that. Ino was too busy being pinned against the wall with Naruto's lips on hers. She didn't push away, his lips tasted too good. The taste of the ramen she had made still lingered on his lips, but something else kept her kissing him. Like the kiss itself was fanning her desires. Naruto left her lips, moving his kissing down to her neck. Ah, Naruto, Ino gasped as he kissed. Her voice snapped. Naruto. She stood on the other side of the room panting. He looked at Ino, then back to the floor. Sorry. I shouldn't, Naruto started before Ino nearly jumped him. She didn't know why, but she wanted more. Yeah, she wants it, Kurama's voice echoed out as they started to lustfully kiss. Ino pulled at Naruto's jacket, nearly breaking the zipper as she yanked it down. Naruto moved his arms out of his jacket and took his chance to either make the moment or destroy it. He slid his hands onto her, lightly groping her. Ino gave a light into their kiss, giving Naruto the access he wanted. His tongue slid into her mouth and quickly started to play with hers. Ino started to grind herself against Naruto, becoming lost in the moment. She wanted no need to have Naruto. If not him, she wouldn't make it home without snapping. Naruto's hands groped hair as she pulled at his black shirt. Ino's back hit the bed and Naruto quickly attacked her neck with kisses. Her blue sleeveless shirt was removed and forgotten along with Naruto's black shirt. Naruto's hands slid down her body, dipping into her tight pants. Ah, Naruto! Ino gasped as his fingers rubbed over her panty-covered womanhood. Should I stop? Naruto asked. No. God no, Ino said, her chest. What the hell? Why am I letting him do this? Why do I want him to? Ino thought as he ran her hands into his hair. She felt his lips move down her body. Naruto stopped pulling away. No, you're not thinking straight, Naruto said, stepping back. What? Ino asked. She could believe it. He stopped. You're suffering from hero worship, Naruto said, handing her back her blue shirt. You think so? Ino asked, covering up. Yes. As much as I would like to do this, I just can't, Naruto said, looking away. What if I'm not hero worshipping you and I just want to bang? Ino asked. Think it over for a while, at least a day or two. If you feel the same, I'll rock your world, Naruto said, leaving the room. Ino stood in her room fuming. Naruto had literally blocked himself. She wanted to thank him for showing restraint, but damn it, did she want to ride him still. She started to pace, then stopped, taking a deep breath. She needed to forget about him. She took another long deep breath when a knock came to her door. Ino, you in there? Sakura's voice came from the other side. Yeah, just a sec, Ino said, walking to her door. You get any info? Sakura asked as Ino let her in. I'm not sure, Ino said, closing the door after Sakura was in. What did you find out? Sakura asked. Well, I made the poor decision to invade Naruto's mind, Ino said. Ino? Oh my god, are you okay? Sakura asked. Yeah, Naruto stopped the QB before he could do anything. And since then I haven't been able to get Naruto out of my head, Ino explained. What, some kind of twisted hero worship? Sakura asked. That's what he thinks, but the problem was it was yesterday and I still can't get him out. I mean, even a little, Ino said, dropping onto her couch. I wish it would stop, she added. It will after another day or so, at least I think, Sakura said, sitting beside her friend. There's something else I almost had with him, Ino said. What? Why? Sakura asked. Well, I made him some ramen as thanks for getting me away from the fox, and it kind of just happened. I mean, one second we are cleaning the dishes, the next I was against the wall kissing him, Ino explained. Did you like it? Sakura asked. It was freaking amazing. It's like his lips were morphine or some kind of drug, Ino said, fanning herself. Just thinking about it makes me sweat, she added. Okay, Ino. I think you obsessing a little, Sakura said. I can't help it is the problem, Ino replied. Well, get some sleep, maybe you'll feel better later, Sakura said. Good idea, Ino replied. Naruto walked groggily through his apartment towards his door. I'm coming, keep your panties on, Naruto grumbled as he opened the door to Ino. I don't have any on, Ino said, moving inside. God, I need you, Naruto, she quickly pressing herself against him. Ino, Naruto said, pulling her inside. I'm glad you came back, Naruto pulled her into a kiss. Once again Ino's back was planted on the bed. This time, however, Naruto didn't stop as decent down her body. Her shirt was already forgotten, she said loudly as Naruto fed his tongue over her s. His hands trailed over her soft yet toned body. Oh god, please don't stop, Ino said out, feeling Naruto's lips move further down her body. His hands preceded him and pulled off her tight black pants, showing him that she really wasn't wearing panties. You weren't kidding, Naruto said, kissing over her belly button and down to her femininity. Ino bit her lip as his breath hit her womanhood. You don't have to do this, Ino said. Bullshit. I love to do this, to make you scream, and with just my tongue, Naruto said as he slid his tongue over her. Ino shuddered and lightly her hands ran down into his hair as he started to work her over. Don't stop, Ino as he traced around her lips, then stuck in tongue in and repeated over and over. Ino's back arched as Naruto her. He was beyond good at it. Naruto moved a hand towards her entrance. His fingers lightly spread her open while another pushed into her. Naruto, Ino climaxing from his finger sliding into her. Naruto gave a chuckle and continued to finger her. He wanted to blow her, but he also wanted to hear her beg for it. Just as I thought. You taste good, Naruto said, eating up her juices. Ino panted as Naruto stopped toying with her for a few moments. Naruto, please, Ino gasped. Please what? Naruto asked. I want you, Ino said. You have me, Naruto said, placing a kiss on her womanhood. He started to finger her again. Ino loudly as he slid a second finger into her. Naruto. Stop. Ino Naruto stopped removing his fingers from her. Is there something you want? He asked. Please, no more foreplay, I want you and me, Ino said, biting her lip. If that's what you want, Naruto said, moving up her body. He unbuttoned his pants and let them fall to the floor. Ino's eye widened, seeing his size. You're huge, Ino nearly shouted. Naruto cracked a grin and looked at Ino. You still want it? He asked. Ino her lips as she started at his. She gave a nod and spread her legs. Naruto moved in, rubbing himself against her wet entrance. After he thoroughly lubed himself with her juices, he finally started to push in. Ino winched as he spread her. It hurt but felt amazing at the same time. The fullness that he was giving her thanks to his more than impressive size. Naruto gritted his teeth as he pushed into her. She was tighter than Anko, it almost hurt to be inside her. Shit, you have a tight little cunt, Naruto growled as he stopped trying to get her to adjust to what he had in her. I would say thanks, but I almost wish I was looser so I could take it easier, Ino said, hooking her arms under Naruto's, allowing her nails to dig into his back as he started to press into her again. Naruto leaned in, kissing her neck, trying to get her body to relax around him as he reached halfway. Ino's back was pressed to his chest as she arched. Her mind was going blank and he hadn't even started to thrust. She was afraid to let him have her. She didn't want to lose her mind to him. But at the same time she wanted to. To be as free as Anko seemed to be, happy to be nothing more than release for Naruto seemed like a good life at the moment. Ah, Naruto! Ino cried out, feeling his start to withdraw. She panted and braced herself. He was going to either slam into her or grind in slowly. Either way, she was going to love it. And love it she did. He slowly pushed in, grinding from side to side as he pushed in, making her loudly. Naruto hooked an arm under Ino's back, pressing her against him as he started his slow and methodical thrusts. Ino raked her nails down his back as she climaxed around Naruto's. Her walls suddenly clamping down on Naruto's nearly made him burst. He barely held out, his teeth clenched to an almost painful limit. Ino's tightness was driving him mad. He had to find a way to get her to sign a contract and become his. Told you she would love it, Kurama laughed. Naruto ignored him and focused on Ino. He took a slow breath and started to move again. Oh god, Naruto, how long can you go? Ino asked. Naruto said nothing, knowing they hadn't been going very long in the first place. Instead, he decided to push her over the edge. He slid his hand down her back, groping her while he moved his lips to her again, toying with her s. Naruto! Ino screamed out again as she climaxed again. This time, however, he wasn't able to hold out and burst into her. Ino's ecstasy-filled scream did it off and she passed out. Naruto rolled off her, panting but still ready to go. He looked to see her out and gave a sigh. Guess we are done, Naruto said, getting up, moving towards his bathroom to get cleaned up. Naruto stepped out of his shower and into the bedroom to see Ino looking at him. As this was Anko does for you? Ino asked. I told you the only way I'm answer any questions is if you agree to join her, Naruto said. Then I agree, Ino said. I don't think you want to do that, Naruto retorted. If I get to have with you more often I think I can suffer, Ino said. You wouldn't be suffering, you'd be my submissive, Naruto said, pulling out a scroll. If I show you this you have to swear that you never tell a soul. Naruto gave Ino a look of such seriousness that she was afraid to cross him. I give my word, Ino said, taking the scroll. Ino rolled the scroll shut and looked at Naruto. Anko does all this for you? She asked. Willingly too, Naruto added. I have told her anything she doesn't want to do she has to vocalize. It's in the contract so it's not like she can't disobey me. Naruto sat down on the edge of the bed. So I would have to sign one of these if I want to be with you? Ino asked. No, only if you want. Then you can ask all the questions you want and I'll answer every one of them, Naruto explained. And if I don't sign? Ino asked. We go our separate ways and never speak of this night, and you never bring this. Naruto grabbed the scroll. Up to anyone ever. Naruto put the scroll away. So it's be your sub and get an answers or no and no answers? Ino asked. Yup, if you became my sub you're also bound to keep it a secret what happens between us, Naruto said as the door opened and Anko stepped in. Anko? Ino said, fearful of her reaction. Is Naruto-sama busy? Anko asked. No, just finishing up. What say you, Ino? Naruto asked. Ino's mind was racing, she definitely wanted more from him but she wasn't sure if she wanted to be his submissive. Of course you do, dolt. He only came once and didn't even get exhausted. You know you'd do anything for that, Ino's mind yelled at her. What if I decide I don't want to be your sub anymore? Ino asked. Tell me, I'll cancel the contract, Naruto said. You can do that, Naruto-sama? Anko asked. Remember the summons saying that couldn't be done? Yes, but it has to be of my own free will. Tsunade can't force me to break it. To answer the unasked part of your question, Naruto said, looking at his first submissive. Okay, Ino said. Okay, what? Naruto asked. I'll be your second submissive, Ino said, blushing. Naruto nodded and summoned Gamateshi. What now? You have another girl? The frog asked, looking at Ino. Yup, so I need a contract for her, Naruto replied. Girl, what's your name? Gamateshi asked. Ino Yamanaka, Ino replied. The frog brought forth her scroll and at an impressive pace wrote up the contract. Sign in these spots and make sure you understand your position under Naruto-sama, Gamateshi said. Ino read over the scroll, making sure that even as his submissive she would still have her own mind and not be head over heels for him. Looks okay, Ino said as she started to sign the scroll. Blood mark here, Gamateshi said, point at the bottom of the scroll. Your turn, Naruto. She turned to face Naruto, whom already had his finger pricked for the blood mark. The scroll is nearly set. I'll be going to Tsunade for the witness again, the frog said. Oh, she's going to love this, Naruto replied, turning to Anko. Are you okay with this? Naruto asked. Do I get to play with her too? Anko asked. If she's willing, yes, Naruto said, glancing at Ino, whom gave a why not shrug. Then what's the problem as long as I still get? Anko said, smiling. So who's next, oh great master? Kurama asked, laughing. What's that mean? Naruto asked. Like you're going to stop at 2, he replied, still cackling. Naruto cracked a grin. He had a point, why stop at 2 when they didn't care about the other? Tsunade sat at her desk trying to get everything set for the next set of Chunin exams. A small knock hit her window. She ignored it, trying to focus on the papers sent to her by the Raikage and Mizukage. She was still waiting for the papers from the Kazekage and Tsuchikage. A really wants to send 50 shinobi this year. Tsunade said out loud, surprised by the number from the hidden cloud. Another small knock came to her window. Yet again she ignored it, approving of A's number before she turned to the Mizukage's numbers. Open the blast's window, you whippersnapper. A voice shouted at her. Tsunade turned around to see Gamateshi at the window. Oh no, Tsunade moved to the window, letting in the small yellow frog. Naruto-sama has another scroll for you to sign, Gamateshi said, hopping onto Tsunade's desk. What does he need two women for? Tsunade asked. Never mind, who is it? Ino Yamanaka, Gamateshi said, rolling out the scroll from Tsunade to sign. Once again Tsunade read over the scroll, ensuring it was the same as the one Anko signed. I can't believe this boy, Tsunade said, signing her name to the scroll. I have a feeling we will be seeing each other again soon, Gamateshi said as she vanished. A few weeks later, Naruto stood with the Hokage's hat on his head and a coat similar to his father's on. Here arms were crossed and a grin adorned his face. Naruto-sama, Anko ed his name lightly as she sat at his right side in a skimpy shirt and shorts. Ino sat on his left side, Tsunade and Mei stood behind him with their hands on his chest. In front of his legs laid Sakura. She looked at him with pure lust, as did the others. Naruto-sama, please, we want you, Temari's voice said from his right side. He looked to see her kneeling at his side behind Anko, tenten to his left. You know, a man could get used to this, Naruto said with a grin. Naruto turned, looked forward once more and saw Pain standing with his back to him. Pain, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. He tried to take a step but couldn't move. His hands suddenly hurt. He looked to see his chakra receiver impaled into his hands. He refocused to find himself on the ground just like the way Pain had left him. Time for you to die, Pain said. Naruto couldn't move, he was going to die. Before Pain could swing a form shot at him, getting him to jump back. I won't let you lay another finger on Naruto-kun, Hinata said, standing to face him. Reinforcements Pain asked, looking at the dark blue-haired girl. What are you doing here, Hinata? He's too strong for you, Naruto yelled at her. I know, I'm just being selfish, Hinata replied. What are you talking about? What are you doing here? It's dangerous, Naruto shouted, trying to get Hinata to run for her life. I'm here of my own free will. I nearly went the wrong way. I used to always cry and give up. But you showed me the right way. I was always chasing you, wanting to overtake you. I just wanted to talk to you. I wanted to be with you, Hinata explained. Naruto couldn't speak, he was in complete shock, and Pain just stood listening to her talk. You changed me, your smile saved me. So I'm not afraid to die protecting you. Hinata took her fighting for reading to battle Pain. Because I love you. Before Naruto could say a thing, she took off towards Pain, her hands alight with blue chakra lion faces. She swung at Pain with everything she had, but nothing worked. Shinra Tensei, Pain said softly, crushing Hinata in a single strike. Naruto shot up in a cold sweat. He quickly surveyed the area. He was in his bedroom and it was the middle of the night. A hand touched his shoulder, quickly grabbing his attention. Anko laid on his right while Ino laid on his left. Naruto-sama, is everything okay? Anko asked, looking at him. Yeah, I'm fine, just a bad dream, Naruto said, laying back down. What was the dream? Ino asked, her hands running up his back. Nothing that deems explanation. Now go to sleep, Naruto said, closing his eyes. Naruto rolled out of bed where Ino still laid sleeping. Anko, on the other hand, was gone. He could smell food in the air. Kitchen, Naruto said, moving through the house. Within the kitchen, Anko stood, making Naruto's jaw hit the floor. She wore only an orange apron with the Uzumaki clan crest on it. Anko smiled lightly as he entered. She set down a tray of food consisting of tamagoyaki, miso soup and natto. Naruto sat, ate with gusto. He couldn't believe how great of a cook Anko was. He kept his eyes on Anko bare hind end. She was doing it on purpose. She wanted him to stare, wanted him to know she was his whenever he wanted. Is it good? Anko asked. Very. Naruto replied, putting down the empty bowl of miso soup. He waited until she had turned away to move. Anko dipped her hands into the warm sink water to start washing the dishes when Naruto's hand ran over her. Naruto-sama, Anko asked, feeling his hand run between her legs. What, you thought you could dress like this and not get me hard? Naruto asked, rubbing his restrained erection against Anko's rear. Anko smiled lightly and leaned into his hardening member. Maybe I wanted to get you hard, Anko whispered. Naruto unzipped his pants, pulling out his raging hard-on. Well, you're in for it now, Naruto said, rubbing his against her. I was hoping so, Anko replied. How should I treat you? Rough or gentle? Fast or slow? Or, Naruto said, thinking over his choices. Rough, fast, and in my, Anko replied, her breathing already hitched. Naruto grinned and slid into her. Anko edged out as he started to roughly pound away. Anko loved every inch and second of it. Naruto gripped her hips as he slammed into her. He glanced back, feeling a pair of hands run up his back. Ino ran her hands over his chest as she kissed at his neck. Naruto moved a hand from Anko's hips to Ino's side, pulling her into a kiss. Ino grabbed Anko's hip, helping her remain steady as Naruto edged her with everything he had. I'm next, right? Ino asked. Of course you are, Naruto said, sliding his hand between Ino's legs, feeling her wetness. I can't wait, Ino said, locking lips with Naruto once again. You're going to waste away keeping up with these two's libidos, Kurama laughed. Hush you started this, Naruto retorted quickly before he turned his attention back to Anko, whom was currently climaxing on his. Naruto-sama, Anko cried out as she climaxed, her legs shook, she could hardly stay standing. Atta girl, milk my, Naruto said, still pounding into her, getting ready to blow inside of her. I still want some too, Ino said, biting her lip. Oh, there is plenty more. Naruto smiled, letting himself go inside of Anko. Anko's eyes rolled back as she rode the pleasure Naruto pumped into her. Your turn, Naruto said, picking Ino up. He put her onto the counter. Ino gladly spread her legs for him, giving him access to her. Naruto moved in, penetrating her in one go. Ino edged as she stretched around his. Anko moved in, her lips attack Ino's. Oh no, fair double teamed. Ino edged, her legs wrapped around Naruto's waist. Anko slid a hand down Ino's body until her fingers started to rub her. Ino's body convulsed as she climaxed thanks to the double-teamed assault by Naruto and Anko. Naruto leaned over to Anko, locking their lips as he pumped into Ino. Naruto felt his second eruption start to build as Ino's walls coiled around his. Here's your load, babe, Naruto grunted as he burst into her. Ino edged loudly as she climaxed once again. Amazing, Ino said, panting. Oh, I'm not done with either of you two yet, Naruto grinned, leading both girls out of the kitchen. Hinata sat on a bench deep in thought. She wanted to confront Naruto about her telling him how she felt and what he thought about it. What if he doesn't love me? Hinata thought as she worried. It had been a long time since she told him how she felt, but he never told her anything. Hey Hinata, Naruto's voice instantly demanded her attention. Naruto-kun, Hinata smiled lightly. I'm sorry it took me too long to get around to this, but, Hinata, I care deeply for you, Naruto said. Hinata's stomach was in her throat, she couldn't speak. But, you deserve someone who will focus on you. I can't do that for you, so please forget about me, Naruto said. Hinata's face paled, she couldn't believe it. Naruto had confessed that he cared but was trying to push her away. She fought back her tears as he walked away. Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata shouted, stopping him in his tracks. Hinata was furious. She stomped over to Naruto, her eyes just glaring at him. Hinata, Naruto asked nervously. I told you I wanted to be with you. I love you, Naruto. Nothing will ever change that, Hinata said, tears forming in her eyes, her rage already forgotten. Naruto was frozen. He didn't know what to say. Hinata still wanted to be with him even though he told her he couldn't give her his full attention. Hinata, Naruto finally reacted and pulled the dark blue-haired girl into a hug. Naruto-kun. Hinata's eyes were wide open. He just hugged her with no warning. I feel like such an ass, that must have really hurt you, Naruto said as his fingers intertwined through her hair. I forgive you Naruto-kun, just never try to push me away again, Hinata said blushing. Oh come on Naruto, what me and Anko aren't enough for you? Ino's voice rang out. Ino, Naruto said blushing seeing his second submissive walk up to him. You're with Ino? Hinata asked. In a way, Naruto replied. Hinata took a step back. In what way? She asked. No, if she gets answers she does what I did, Ino said visibly biting her lip. What did you do? Hinata asked. That's also for him to tell you, Ino said. Naruto-kun, Hinata looked to Naruto. Come with me, Ino home, Naruto looked to Ino whom froze. Yes, Ino replied leaving. Naruto and Hinata stood in a field a ways away from the village. Anko and Ino both recognize me as their dominate, they act as cooks, maids, servants, lovers. Whatever I want them to do, Naruto said. They have with you? Hinata asked. If I want it yes, Naruto replied. Is that something that helps you? To see your women as submissive to you? Hinata asked. No they kinda just happened, Naruto said. Liar, Kurama said. Not now, Naruto retorted. Is that why you tried to push me away? Because you already have Ino and Anko, Hinata asked. Yes, I don't want you to waste your time with me when I can give you all of my focus. Above all other things you deserve someone who will love you with all their heart, Naruto said. It wouldn't work, Hinata replied. What? Naruto asked. I love you with all my heart. Nobody else is good enough for me. There's only you Naruto-kun, Hinata explained. Truly? Naruto asked. Yes, so if it allows me to be with you I would gladly become your submissive, Hinata said. Her words left Naruto frozen. His mind couldn't process what he was hearing. Number 3, Kurama said cackling. Shut it, Naruto said. You don't want that Hinata, Naruto said. If it allows me to be with you I do, Hinata replied quickly. You'd willingly become a submissive to me? Naruto asked. Yes, if it means I can be with you for the remainder of my life, Hinata said walking up to Naruto. Her hand ran up his chest until she cupped his cheek. Naruto moved on her taking her lips against his. Hinata wrapped her arms around his neck kissing him with everything she had. Naruto once again intertwined his fingers into her hair. Their bodies meshed together as they kissed, Hinata's arms tightened around Naruto's neck. She didn't want this to end, she was in heaven and wanted to stay there. Hinata. Naruto finally pulled back, their foreheads pressed together. Naruto-kun, Hinata spoke lightly. Naruto placed a finger over her lips silencing her. No more words are needed, he said pulling her into another kiss. Hinata's hands moved to his chest and gripped his shirt. Naruto started to kiss Hinata's neck making her lightly. Naruto-kun, Hinata ed lightly as his hands moved down her back until they reached her, his hands lustfully groped her getting her to more. Hinata's S started to echo as she fell to the passion of their moment. Naruto moved a hand to the zipper of her jacket, he slowly pulled it down as he kissed to the collar of her shirt. Hinata returned the favor and removed Naruto's jacket tossing it away. That was the seal of their lust, nothing would stop them now. Hinata's back hit a tree as Naruto pressed himself against her. She could feel his erection grinding against her, it made her wet just thinking of him taking her. Naruto slid a hand under Hinata's shirt feeling her soft skin. His fingers lightly traced over her stomach slowly making its way up her body. Hinata couldn't hold back a light giggle feeling his fingers tickling over her skin. Naruto's hand reached the lace cloth of her bra. He looked to Hinata making sure she was okay with him going this face. I'm yours, Hinata said biting her lip. God you're why, Naruto said moving his hands to the hem of her shirt. He removed her shirt leaving her in just her pants and bra. Hinata took the liberty of undoing her bra for Naruto. The final piece of clothing that covered her upper body fell away. Naruto felt his mouth water just looking at Hinata's immaculate bosom. Hinata blushed as his hands started to rub over her bare chest. Naruto-kun, Hinata edged lightly again as he took one of her s into his mouth. On it his teeth lightly slid over it, making her gasp and convulse. Oh God, again, Hinata begged. Naruto happily obliged and lightly ran his teeth over her again. Hinata convulsed again, his teeth on her s felt amazing. Naruto moved to her other, doing the same to get the same reactions from her. Naruto moved a hand to Hinata's pants. She nodded lightly, giving him access to her femininity. His hand slid into her pants, rubbing over her panty-covered womanhood. Hinata edged loudly as his fingers rubbed her. His fingers felt so good even through her panties. Naruto-kun, Hinata edged loudly as he pushed against her entrance. Naruto removed his hand and unbuttoned her pants. Hinata's face flushed as he knelt before her. You don't have to do that, Hinata said nervously. But I want to taste you, so badly, Naruto said, ing over her cloth-clad. Hinata's head dropped back in a. She could feel her knees getting weak from just one. Naruto draped Hinata's leg over his shoulder, letting her slid onto his shoulder, pressing her womanhood against mouth. Naruto slowly pulled at her panties. Hinata stopped him, blushing heavily. Naruto, it's too embarrassing, Hinata said. There is nothing to be embarrassed about, Hinata. You're too damn beautiful to be nervous, Naruto said, moving her hands away as to remove her panties. Hinata still blushed as her panties were pulled down, letting Naruto see her womanhood. Naruto slid his tongue over her, getting her to loudly. Naruto looked up at her as he started to tongue her. Hinata's fingers ran into his hair as she edged from his work. Naruto-kun, Hinata edged loudly as she climaxed. Naruto lapped up her juices, surprised she came so easily. Are you a virgin? Naruto asked. Yes, you are the only one I am willing to lose it to, Hinata said, blushing. Naruto blushed himself from her confession. She truly wanted him and him alone. Naruto moved his way up her body, kissing each spot as he did. Are you sure you want to do this? Naruto asked, his restrained manhood rubbed against her thigh. Yes, I want this, Hinata said, kissing him. She could still taste herself on his lips. Naruto unbuttoned his pants, letting them fall. Hinata gulped as he pulled his boxers down. Her eyes stayed locked on him as his manhood was freed. So big, Hinata thought, seeing his fully erect and free. I don't want to hurt you, so stop me if it hurts, Naruto said, rubbing himself against her wet entrance. Oh, okay, Hinata said, ing lightly, feeling his moving over her lips. Naruto positioned himself and pushed in as slowly as he could. Hinata gasped as she felt his head penetrated her. Naruto slowly pushed further in. He had told her to stop him, but he knew she wouldn't, no matter how much it hurt. God, you're tight, Naruto grunted, feeling her walls tightly constrict his steely. Hinata wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck as she buried her face from his view. She didn't want him to stop, but if he saw her face he would. It hurt but felt so good at the same time. It hurts, but please don't stop, Hinata said, her eyes clenched shut as a few tears ran down her face. Naruto nodded and pushed a little further in. Her walls started to relax as she became accustomed to his girth, but she still had a lot to take. God, Hinata, your body feels amazing, Naruto said. One of his hands grasped the tree Hinata leaned against. He pushed a little more into her, getting half his length buried into her. Hinata started to dig her nails into Naruto's shoulders, feeling another climax fast approaching. Naruto-kun, she gasped out, trying to hold off her climax. Let it come, Hinata, Naruto said, his member nearly buried inside of her. Hinata obeyed and let go. Her body seized up as her orgasm tore through her body. Naruto groaned as her walls clamped down on him. He gritted his teeth, trying to hold back. Hinata panted against Naruto, her body soaked in sweat. She went limp against Naruto. She was completely exhausted. Naruto leaned in, kissing her neck a few times. As he started to remove himself from Hinata, he felt one of her legs hook around him. More. Please, Hinata said weakly. Are you sure? Naruto asked. Hinata looked up at him and nodded. Naruto pressed their lips together, meshing their bodies into each other's. Hinata groaned slightly as her beloved blonde ninja started to push into her again. Naruto wrapped an arm around Hinata as he finally bottomed out inside of her. Ah, Naruto-kun. Hinata gasped, feeling his manhood hit her cervix. Naruto kissed her neck as he grinded his in her. He slowly pulled out to his head and sunk himself back in, finally being able to start thrusting into her. Hinata wrapped her other leg around Naruto, trapping himself inside of her. Naruto pulled Hinata off the tree, lowering to the ground, letting Hinata sit on his lap. She hesitated for a moment, then started to bounce on him. Naruto gave her a few bounces before he started to thrust upwards. Damn, Hinata, I don't think I can last any longer. Naruto groaned, her walls starting to become too much for him to handle. Hinata couldn't answer, she was too far gone in her lust. She could feel her mind going blank and starting to break. And she couldn't have cared less, she was more than willing to lose herself to him. Naruto lost it when her walls clamped down onto his again. His seed sprayed into Hinata, filling her. Naruto dropped back, panting as Hinata laid on his chest. I love you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, her eyes closed as she listened to his heartbeat. Were you serious about being my sub? Naruto asked. Yes, I would gladly be yours and yours alone, Hinata said, kissing his chest. If that's so, Naruto bit his thumb and summoned Gamateshi. Oi again, could you at least wear cloths? The yellow frog covered her eyes. Sorry. And yes again, Naruto said. Girl, what's your name? Gamateshi asked. Hinata Hyuga, Hinata said, watching the frog write up the contract. You're getting faster at that, Naruto said as the frog finished the scroll. It's the third time I've done this in such a short time period, the frog replied, pointing to the spots for Hinata to sign. Once complete, the frog left to get Tsunade's signature. She's going to kill your ass, unless you tame her too, Kurama cracked a grin. We'll talk later, Naruto said to the fox before turning his attention to his newest sub. Naruto sat on the roof of Anko's house, enjoying the gentle breeze of the day. Hinata laid beside him, her hand on his chest. He slowly ran his fingers through Hinata's hair. They had spent several days together as Ino had gone on a mission and Anko was starting the Chunin exams. Are you hungry, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Yeah, let's go get some ramen, Naruto said, smiling. I could make you something, Hinata replied. Nah, I haven't had Ichiraku in a while, think of it as a date, Naruto said, getting Hinata to blush. Oh, okay, Hinata said, biting her lip. Naruto got up before Hinata could and offered her his hand. Hinata blushed lightly again and took his hand. Hinata stopped hearing Kiba call for her. What's wrong, Kiba-kun? Hinata asked, turning to face him. We have a mission, did you forget? Kiba asked, seeing Hinata face fall. She had forgotten about the mission they had taken just before she had become Naruto's. Be safe, Hinata, Naruto said, patting her shoulder. I know you'll do fine, he added, making her smile. Of course, Hinata replied, kissing Naruto's cheek before she left to pack. Aren't you with Ino? Kiba asked. I thought he was with Anko, Shino said, walking up. Well, the thing is, Naruto started before he burst and a log fell to the ground. What the hell? Kiba asked, seeing the substitution. I guess he didn't want to talk, Shino said, turning away. Hinata stepped out of her room, her pack ready for their mission. Hinata, a voice said, stopping her. Father. Hinata bowed lightly to him. What is this I hear about you being with the fox boy? Hiyashi asked, standing before her. It's just as it sounds, father, Hinata replied, blushing. I've also heard he is with the Yamanaka girl in Mitarashi, Hiyashi said, looking at his daughter. This is also true, Hinata replied. So he had 3 girlfriends? Hanabi asked. Yes, and no, father, I am not leaving him, Hinata said before Hiyashi could say a word. Like hell. My daughter won't be with someone who can't settle on one, Hiyashi retorted. Oh, now I'm your daughter. Hinata asked. What? Hiyashi asked angrily. You've never cared for me, father. Not since Hanabi was born, Hinata said, starting to get mad in her own right. And no, I don't blame you, Hanabi. A father should give equal attention to his children. Hinata glanced to Hanabi before returning to her father, whom was in shock. Every time I asked for help, you refused, saying how you needed to train Hanabi, or you had clan work to do. So now that I've found someone, you're going to try and be a father. Sorry, but don't make me laugh, Hinata said as she slung her pack over her shoulder and walked away. Hinata, Hiyashi shouted at her. Goodbye, father. I've already moved everything else out, Hinata said as she rounded a corner. Hiyashi looked to see she was right. Her room was empty save for the furniture. Hinata moved out, Hanabi asked, looking at the room. So it would seem, Hiyashi replied, unable to believe that Hinata stood up for herself. Naruto sat down in Ichiraku. He quickly noticed that Tsuki wasn't there. Hey Ayame, where's Tsuki? Naruto asked. Oh, dad's not feeling very well, so he's home sleeping, Ayame replied. Do you need help? Naruto asked, seeing her trying to work the stand alone. I can handle it, Ayame said, smiling. Too bad. Naruto moved behind the counter and readied a bowl for a customer. You don't have to, Ayame said. I know, but I want to, Naruto replied, handed a bowl to Ayame to serve. Thank you, Ayame replied, blushing lightly. No problem, Naruto said, smiling at the girl. What's this now? Kurama asked. She was one of the few people who have always been nice to me, Naruto replied. So you naturally developed a little crush on her? Kurama asked. Yes, when I was younger I had a crush on her, Naruto replied. Younger, ha? You still have a crush on her? I can tell, Kurama replied. Don't you get any ideas? Naruto replied, handing her another bowl. I don't need to, you already have them, Kurama laughed. She is really cute. I bet she'd love it, Kurama added. Naruto shook his head for a moment and readied another bowl. Are you okay, Naruto? Ayame asked, seeing him shake his head. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto replied. The shop had finally died down. Naruto never remembered them getting that busy when he ate there. Then again, he might have been the reason for that too. That was a busy night, Naruto said, wiping away some sweat from his brow. We've been getting busier now that people know you used to eat here, Ayame replied. Everyone wants to eat where the hero of the world ate, she added with a smile. I hate getting called that, Naruto said, shaking his head. So the fame didn't go to your head? Ayame asked. No, it didn't. I just want to live a normal life as a Hokage, Naruto said, smiling. Normal people don't have 3 girlfriends, Ayame said, giving Naruto a coy smile. You got me there. Naruto dropped his head. Thanks for all the help, Ayame said, lightly kissing his cheek. If that's the reward I get, I'm glad to help any time, Naruto chuckled. Ayame blushed heavily and gave him a sly smile. It was really nice to have you helping today, Ayame said. Like I said, anytime, Naruto replied, getting ready to leave. Would you like a free bowl? Ayame asked. How could I pass that up? Naruto turned and sat down, watching her make him up a bowl. So, what are your plans for the rest of the day? Ayame asked, lightly biting her lip as she handed him his free bowl of ramen. I was thinking about going to train or maybe hang out with Shikamaru and Choji, Naruto replied. Of course, I could just hang around here and help you out if you need it, Naruto added before taking a mouthful of noodles. I don't think I'll need any more help, Ayame said. But I wouldn't say no to having someone to talk to, she added, blushing lightly. Then it's settled, Naruto said. The night dwindled on for the two as 1 or 2 customers would come and go without another rush of people. Ayame was the center of Naruto's focus. Each time she looked at him she would blush and bite her lip, and each time Naruto would have to hold back from jumping the counter and kissing her. Damn it, I want to bite that lip, Naruto thought as he moved behind the counter to help Ayame clean up the last of the dishes as Ichiraku Ramen closed for the night. Thanks again for helping me today, Ayame said, blushing again. Naruto nodded as he put away the last dish. He took a step towards Ayame, whom took a step back and bit her lip. I can't tell if she is egging me on or actually backing away, Naruto thought as he took another step towards her to see her step back and a thin smile slid over her face. She wasn't backing away to get away from him, she was egging him on. Naruto took another step and another each time Ayame would step back, the thin smile and blush ever persistent on her face. Do you have any idea how beautiful you are? Naruto asked as Ayame's back in the wall. I'm not that attractive, she replied, biting her lip again. It's quite the opposite. I've had a crush on you since I was little, Naruto said, placing his hand on the wall next to her. That being said, if you want me to leave, I will. I won't make you do anything you don't want to, Naruto said before Ayame's hand ran over his cheek. She smiled lightly and leaned in. Naruto moved in, gently pressing their lips together. Naruto slid a hand into her hair, holding the back and side of her head while the other wrapped around her waist. Ayame rested her hands on his chest, not pushing him away nor pulling him closer as if she was still judging the situation. Naruto, Ayame said, pushing him back as she gasped for air. Okay. Naruto quickly moved back, giving Ayame space. Her chest heaved, causing Naruto to notice how short of breath he was as well. He hadn't noticed he was suffocating them both. Naruto leaned against the other wall, putting the entire shop between them. I should go, Naruto said before Ayame rushed him. He reacted and embraced her. Their lips quickly meshed together again. This time, however, Ayame wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck, pulling him into their kiss. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist, holding her against him. Ayame beat Naruto to the punch and slid her tongue into his mouth. She entangled her fingers into his hair as their kiss continued. Naruto slid his hands down her body, lightly groping her. Ayame gave a light cute as he did. The two pulled apart again, panting heavily. Ayame bit her lip again as Naruto reached for her. His hand cupped her cheek. Just wow, he said as he put his forehead against hers. I don't think I could sum it up better, Ayame replied. So what does this mean for us? Naruto asked. Would you want another girlfriend? Ayame asked, making Naruto's jaw slack slightly. You'd really be with me knowing I already have 3 others? Naruto asked. Yeah, I have been crushing on you since you stopped the sand and sound attack on the village, Ayame replied, blushing. Naruto smiled lightly before he took a step back. Are you really okay with that though? Naruto asked. What, sharing you? Ayame asked. Yeah, Naruto replied. Yes, how could I be the only one that wants you? Ayame asked, smiling. I never thought I'd get one woman to like me, much less 4, Naruto replied. Ayame took Naruto's hand, leading him out of the shop and down the street. Ayame laid with Naruto over her, his lips kisses at her neck while a hand ran down her semi-body. His fingers lightly trailed over her black lace lingerie she had put on just for him. She bit her lip, trying to stifle a. Naruto kissed down her neck, slowly tracing over her body. Damn, you are fine, Naruto said as he hooked a finger through her lace bra, pulling it down. Ayame blushed as her bra was removed, leaving her in just her panties before Naruto. Naruto started his way down her body. His lips reached her. His tongue ran over her ass a few times before he continued his slow descent down her body. He kissed her smooth belly a few times before he reached the hem of her panties. Naruto, Ayame edged lightly as her panties were pulled off. Ayame covered her womanhood. I'm not sure I'm ready yet, she bit her lip as Naruto gently took a hold of her wrists. He pulled away her hands, allowing him to see her femininity. If you want me to stop, say the word, Naruto said, letting Ayame know she had full control. He wasn't going to force her into anything. Ayame nodded lightly, letting Naruto return to kissing her body. Naruto kissed down Ayame's leg, his fingers traced down, causing her to giggle. That tickles, Ayame said, feeling Naruto's fingers slid behind her knee. Naruto gently caressed her legs as he kissed from one to the other before he moved his attention to her womanhood. Naruto, don't. I haven't showered yet, Ayame said, getting Naruto to stop. Nothing about you could disgust me, Naruto replied. I know, but I'd still like to shower before you do anything like that, Ayame said, backing away from Naruto. I understand, we can stop then, Naruto said, moving to grab his shirt. No, Ayame said quickly. Just let me shower first, she added, biting her lip once more. Oh, bathroom is through there, Naruto said, pointing to the bathroom. Ayame stood in Naruto's shower, letting the last of his body was run down her body. She felt much better about letting Naruto have his way with her now. She placed her hand on the wall, licking her lips as she thought of what he would do to her. She froze for a moment, feeling a pair of hands move up her back. Nice and clean, I see, Naruto said as he kissed her neck. I feel a lot better now, Ayame said, turning to face Naruto. Naruto smiled and moved in, their lips brushing each other's. Ayame felt Naruto push her against the wall. Now where was I? Naruto asked, starting to lower down her body. Oh God, Ayame said softly as Naruto knelt before her. He draped one of her legs over his shoulder as he moved in. Ayame bit her lip, feeling his breath on her femininity. She felt so hot watching him slowly move towards her. He lightly kissed her, getting a quick from her. His tongue slid out and over her lips. Ayame ran her hands into his wet blonde hair as she started to again and again, thanks to his tongue. Naruto pushed his tongue into Ayame's delicious folds, tasting her juices. Oh God, Naruto, Ayame said loudly as he back started to arch forward. Naruto moved his hands to hers, intertwining their fingers. Ayame tightly held his hands as he continued to tongue her. Her S of his name became more rapid and lustful with each passing and kiss. Naruto, Ayame cried out as she climaxed on his tongue. Naruto pulled back after he finished eating up all her juices. Nice taste, Naruto said, kissing her belly a few times before he moved up her body again. So good, Ayame said, feeling Naruto's manhood poke her thigh. She moved her hands down his body, wrapping her fingers around his thick member. She spread her legs, moving him into line to take her. She bit her lip as she started to put Naruto in herself. You're so big, Ayame said as his head pushed in. Have you been with someone before? Naruto asked. Once. It was a dumb mistake, and I'd rather not talk about it, Ayame said, letting go of his member as he started to sink himself into her. If it's been a while, I'll take it slow, Naruto said. No, I actually like it rough, Ayame said, blushing heavily as she spoke. Really? Naruto asked, looking at her. She nodded. She didn't like admitting it, but she loved a little pain with her pleasure. So please don't be gentle, Ayame said. You're amazing, you know that, right? Naruto said as he sunk himself into her with one thrust. Ayame let out aloud as she threw her head back. God, yes, she cried out as Naruto quickly started to her. He didn't hesitate to slam into her, giving her what she wanted. Rough, hard and fast without a hint of restraint. Ayame quickly fell into lustful commands of harder, faster, and me. Naruto was quite surprised to find that the sweet and loving Ayame had a very foul mouth when it came to God, me Naruto, me harder. Ayame cried out as he slammed into her, giving her everything she wanted and more. He kissed at her neck as he pounded into her. Ayame's legs wrapped around his waist as she rode the waves of euphoric ecstasy that Naruto was flooding her with. Hell, your body is tight, Naruto grunted as he pumped into her. So good, Ayame cried out as she climaxed again, her juices drenching their bodies for a few moments before the still running water of the shower washed it away. Naruto took a few breaths before he started to thrust faster. Still, he had decided that he wanted her to pass out. Ayame raked her nails over Naruto's shoulders and back as she was quickly pushed to a third and fourth climax before Naruto had even come once. Where is this stamina coming from? Ayame thought to herself. She looked to Naruto, seeing his eyes clamped shut and his teeth grinding themselves. He was holding back with everything he had, and it wasn't going to last much longer. Oh God, Naruto! Don't stop me more! Ayame cried out. Naruto was finally pushed over the edge and burst into her. His seed filled her in seconds and started to flow out of her. Ayame collapsed onto Naruto's chest, panting heavily, trying with all her might to stay awake. She managed to look at Naruto, giving her a satisfied smile before she passed out. Naruto turned the shower off and took her to his bed. After he dried her and himself off, he put her into the bed and rolled in beside her, drifting off into a great sleep. Naruto slowly opened his eyes, the morning sun peeking through the sole crack in his blinds. He quickly came to the realization that someone was doing something very naughty to him. He could feel a mouth wrapped around his thick member. Her lips lovingly worked over his member as her tongue coiled and ran over his length. He pulled back the sheets to see a head of brown hair working, bobbing on his. Morning, Ayame, Naruto said as he watched his newest girl him. She ed as she, her fingers toying with her womanhood. Ayame looked up at Naruto, lust filling her eyes as she continued to him. He wasn't sure when, but he had flipped some sort of switch with Ayame, making her lust for him almost non-stop. Much to his surprise, Tsuki seemed okay with it rather than mad. Ayame picked up her pace at his with everything she had. Naruto ran his hands into her hair as she worked him. Naruto let out a groan as he neared his limit. He started to thrust into Ayame's mouth, getting closer and closer to erupting. Here it comes, Ayame, Naruto grunted as he blew his seed into Ayame's mouth. Ayame gulped down wave after wave of his seed. Ayame slowly pulled off him after giving him several s, ensuring she had gotten as much of his seed as she could. I don't know why I find you so tasty, Ayame said, blushing as she ed the remnants of Naruto's seed off her lips. No idea, but it's a hell of a great wake-up call, Naruto replied, grinning. Her back was pinned to the wall as the hot water ran down their bodies. His lips assaulted her neck while her nails dug into his back. Her hair clung to her body as he slid in and out of her. She ed loudly as he started to pump into her. She cried out his name again and again as her back arched into his chest, pressing their bodies together. Her body ached for his. She could never get enough of him. And he never seemed to have enough of her. Just about every day he would take her in some way or form. Whether it was his skilled tongue and lips on her or hours of their mind-blowing, he always made time for her, just like the others. Naruto, Anko ed loudly as she climaxed onto his. Naruto said nothing and continued to slam into her. His lips continued to toy with her neck and collarbone. A mix of bites and kisses sent shock waves of pleasure through her body. Anko wrapped her legs around his waist, feeling him kick his thrusting into high gear. Naruto slid his hands down to Anko, scroping her as he pumped. You're really pulling me in today, Naruto grunted, feeling his limit fast approaching. Naruto couldn't hold off any longer and let loose into Anko, thoroughly filling her with his seed. Anko rested her head on Naruto's shoulder as she came down from her orgasmic high. Oh God, Naruto, Anko said weakly. You loved it like always, Naruto said, kissing her neck a few more times. Yes, I did, Anko replied as the water finally came to a stop. Naruto sat on his couch thinking over his living situation. He would need a bigger place if he got another girl. Maybe he could get something like a clan home like the Hyuga and Uchiha have. Hell, it would make it a lot easier to live. At the moment there was a lot of bed sharing, not that he minded it. Good morning, Naruto, a voice said, gaining his full attention. He looked to the doorway to see Ino standing in an incredibly white pair of black lace panties and a matching bra. Holy, that's hot, Naruto said as she slowly walked over to him. I'm glad you like it, Ino said as she reached him. Naruto ran his hands up her legs, feeling her smooth skin. His fingers gently ran over her and to her hips. Ino lightly bit her lip as Naruto caressed her body. She still couldn't believe she ended up like this. She had completely and hopelessly fallen for Naruto. And what was surprising is that she didn't feel the need to be with him. she wanted to be with him. She was snapped out of her daydream when Naruto ran his tongue over her just about the hem of her panties. Focus Ino, Naruto said slyly. Sorry, Ino replied before Naruto pulled her down onto his lap. I think you deserve a nice good now, Naruto said as he placed her hand over the bulge in his pants. Oh god yes, Ino said biting her lip. Ino unzipped his fly and unbuttoned his pants. Naruto chuckled watching her lustfully trying to free his member. To think just a little while ago you wouldn't have even given me the time of day, Naruto laughed. How times change, now me, Ino said freeing his member. Naruto hooked his fingers through Ino's panties pulling them away. You want it so bad put it in yourself, Naruto grinned as Ino quickly mounted him sliding his length into her. Ino didn't hesitate to start riding him, she like the others lusted for him to a near unending amount. Ino placed her hands on his shoulders trying to steady herself as she bounced as fast as she could. Naruto grabbed her hips started to pick up her pace even more. Naruto, 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 Ino ed his name each time she hit base on his thickness. She couldn't hold back when she rode him. Naruto ran his hands up her body gently caressing her soft skin until he reached her. He locked his lips around one of her on it as she bounced. Yes, cry out my name, Naruto groaned as Ino ed his name again and again. He felt her walls constrict around him as she hit her climax. He moved his hands to her hips holding her still as he started to pound into her with renewed lust wanting to fill her womb with his seed. Ino threw her head back in a deep as she climaxed hard onto Naruto's her body screamed for him to release she needed to feel him fill her. Naruto gave a low feral groan as he hit his limit and blew into Ino's body. Oh yes, Ino cried out feeling the fullness Naruto's seed gave her. Hinata finished washing the last breakfast plate placing it onto the drying rack. She turned to see Naruto standing in the doorway his eyes locked onto her hips. Hinata blushed lightly seeing him blatantly staring at her body. Did you enjoy breakfast Naruto-kun? Hinata asked trying to get him to focus on a different part of her body. Yes, it was truly delicious, but I'm hungry for something else now, Naruto said as he moved towards Hinata. Oh, and what might that be? Hinata asked feigning ignorance. I'll make you anything you'd like, she added biting her lip lightly as he reached her. How about I bend you over this table, tear your pants and panties off, get you nice and wet and make you squirm? Naruto asked pulling Hinata into his arms. Oh, that does sound tempting, but, Hinata said slowly gauging his reaction. I'd like it if you make me scream in ecstasy like you do to Ino and Anko, Hinata said looking into Naruto's eyes. Naruto's jaw slacked slightly in surprise. Hinata usually liked it gentle and with as much foreplay as he could give her. She was the epitome of tantric and here she was asking for it rough. Are you sure? Naruto asked. Hinata nodded positive. She wanted to see if she would like it rough or if she would prefer to keep it gentle. Naruto pulled Hinata over to the table getting her to bend over giving him free access to her body. Naruto hooked his fingers into Hinata's pants pulling them down. Well, if you are positive then brace yourself, this will hurt, but it should feel good after a few, Naruto said dropping his pants. Hinata nodded again and gripped the table reading herself for the hardest he could give. Naruto lined himself up and slammed home in one thrust. Hinata cried out as tears pricked her eyes. She didn't expect him to be this rough, but this is what she asked for. Naruto grabbed her hips and started to pound into her. Oh god, it hurts, Hinata cried out as she tightened her grip on the table. Naruto's thrust slowed instantly as he leaned over her. Are you still sure you want to do this? Naruto asked, hating to see tears in Hinata's eyes, even more so when he was the cause of them. Yes, I want to know if I can do this, Hinata said pushing back against him. Okay, I'll try to be a little gentler, Naruto said as he started his thrusting up again. No, give it to me as hard as you can, Hinata said looking over her shoulder. Naruto gave a nod giving in to her plea. He gripped her hips tightly once more and started to pound her. Hinata did everything she could not to scream. But Naruto was just too big, she couldn't hold out very long. Thankfully for Hinata, before she was overcome by the pain, it started to subside and pleasure took its place. Her pain-filled cries died off and became lustful and passionate groans. Oh God, it feels good, Hinata ed out as Naruto slammed into her again and again. Naruto grinned hearing Hinata's s. He leaned over her, keeping his thrusts going as he lightly bit at her ear. Hinata turned her head back enough to get their lips meshed together as her love slammed into her. Your s sounds so damn hot, Naruto said, releasing a hand from her hip only to slap it across her. Hinata's eyes shot open as she ed deeply. She liked that, a lot. Again, please, Hinata ed, and Naruto happily obliged and cracked his hand over her again. He timed his spanks perfectly. Each time he hit home he would crack his palm against her, now reddening, and Hinata would to the high heavens and beg for more. Hinata, I'm going to blow, Naruto groaned. Hinata ed loudly as she hit her climax moments before him. Her walls clamped down around Naruto's manhood, pushing him over the edge. Ah, Naruto grunted as he emptied himself into her. The two pulled apart slowly. Hinata laid over the table panting heavily while Naruto slumped back into a chair just as exhausted. Trying to keep up with all four girls was going to kill his. Oh Naruto, Hinata ed lightly, slowly regaining herself. So what did you think? Naruto asked. It was amazing, but I think I like it softer, but I definitely want to do that again, Hinata said, standing slowly. Well, I'm happy to oblige any fantasies you have, Naruto said, putting his member away. Naruto walked through the roads of the hidden leaf. He had asked his girls to stay home. He wanted to do something special for them. So he had gone out and gotten each of them their own unique ring to wear. For Anko, he got her an Onxie band in the shape of a snake with a ruby for its gem. Ino, he had gotten her a beautiful golden band with a fabulous diamond. For Ayame, he got her a stunning silver band with a hexagonal emerald. Finally, for Hinata, he had gotten her a platinum band with a wire-like design on it and a brilliant sapphire. Each ring set him back a surprisingly high amount of cash, but hell, he had the money. Thanks, Naruto said as he left the shop, leaving the shopkeeper confused on why he bought 4 rings. Naruto, could I talk to you? A voice asked as he put the rings into his coat pocket. He turned to see Shizune standing in few feet from him. Yeah, what's up? Naruto asked, smiling, still glowing from his extensively exhausting but fun morning. These contracts, you shouldn't force the girls to be you. You're stealing away their free will, Shizune said. You'd be quiet. Wrong there. They have all the power, not me. They can leave if they want or stay if they want. All my contract really does, it allows me to check, make sure they come back from their missions in one piece. I don't force them to cook or clean, they do it because they want to be with me, Naruto replied, looking at Shizune. So if you wouldn't mind, please keep out of it. If you really want them to leave, talk to them, not me. Naruto was gone before she could say another word. Ayame sat at a table with Ino, Hinata, and Anko. They all knew what they wanted to talk about but were unsure how to start. I think we should try to split it evenly, Ayame said nervously. She was hopelessly outmatched by the other 3. They were all ninjas and she was just a ramen cook in a small restaurant. That sounds right, but who gets when? Anko asked. I would like Saturdays, it's my day off, Ayame said. The other girls nodded, understanding her desire. Could I have Sunday? Hinata asked. I want Wednesdays, Ino said. I'd like Friday, Anko added. What about Mondays, Thursdays and Tuesdays? Ayame asked. What if he gets more girls? Ino asked. I won't stop him. I wouldn't have been able to be with him if he didn't get more, Hinata said. Sounds fair, Ayame said, standing up. The others knew she had to get ready for work. Oh, one exception should be birthdays or if Naruto asks for you, Anko added as Hinata stood up, leaving the room. She had a lunch with Kurenai, Shino and Kiba. Ino laid back onto the couch readying to take a nap while Anko had won the draw to make dinner. Naruto. Naruto narrowly ducked a fist as he landed in the park. He knew he had been followed, but he hadn't expected Sakura to outright attack him. He easily dodged her attempts to hit him. He had grown in strength beyond what anyone knew after the war. When the Edo Tensei was released, all of Kurama's chakra was combined within him, thus making Kurama complete once more. It was as if he was watching Sakura in slow motion as she swung. Enough of this, Kurama shouted, clearly annoyed by the girl. Naruto agreed and caught Sakura's fully empowered fist and sustained no damage. Enough! Naruto shouted, causing everyone in the area to freeze in fear, including Sakura. What do you want? He asked, glaring at the girl who had been attacking him. What did you do to Ino? Sakura asked, regaining her composure and rage. Nothing other than love her, Naruto replied, releasing Sakura's fist. Ino's never liked you, and now all she talks about is how much she loves you. You did something to her, Sakura argued. I did nothing. Now leave me be. Naruto vanished. Anko reacted to the noise first. Naruto was home and very mad for some reason. Naruto-sama. Anko walked in to see him fuming, trying to calm himself. Bitch tries to dig her way under my skin. I swear I'll tear her head from those pretty little shoulders. Naruto's voice growled. Anko could tell it was Kurama speaking, but Naruto wasn't trying to regain his control like she thought. Naruto-sama. Anko moved to him. The moment her hand touched him, he moved, pinning her to the wall. Don't. Not now, he growled. I'm here for you, Anko said, placing a hand on his face. He visibly relaxed as she touched him, another pair of arms wrapped around him. Anko looked to see Hinata had come to her aid. They both held him, trying to calm his rage. I'm sorry. Naruto spoke, his rage finally subsided as he let go of Anko. Anko smiled lightly and ran her hand down his chest. Her fingers ran over Hinata's hand, their eyes met and they both knew what they wanted to do. Hinata took one hand while Anko took his other. They lead him in unison to the bedroom. They were going to test his stamina. Could he keep up with them both? Naruto sat on his bed as the two girls danced for him, giving him a simultaneous striptease. Anko slowly pulled off Hinata's clothes while Hinata did the same to her. Their hands trailed over each other's bodies. Hinata glanced to see their effect on Naruto. He watched them unblinkingly, his eyes filled with lust as he ate his bottom lip. The two moved onto the bed, slowly inching towards him. Their hands ran up his legs as they crawled as idly as they could. And damn, did it work for Naruto. He didn't know what he did to deserve this, but he was happy for it. That was a very wild little dance, Naruto said as he beckoned Hinata further up. Hinata obeyed and their lips meshed together. Anko grinned. They were busy, that meant she could turn her attention to her favorite part of him. Anko undid Naruto's belt and quickly started to give her attention to Naruto's manhood. You started without me, a voice said. Naruto looked to see Ayame stripping down to join him. He moved Hinata to one side of him, letting Ayame join on the other side. Maybe you should get a few shadow clones to help you out, Anko said, sliding her tongue up his length. Bah, I got this. Naruto grinned, sliding a hand down both Ayame's and Hinata's bodies, aiming for their pussies. His hands ran over their entrances, gently rubbing them. Both girls started to quiver, and from his touch, the palm of his hand rubbed and grinded against their s. On Naruto, Hinata ed as he slid two fingers into her. Ayame on the other hand got three. She ed loudly, her head back as her echoed out. Anko ed lightly onto Naruto's as she started to rub herself as she on her beloved orange, master. Hinata leaned in again, pressing her lips to Naruto's again. Little did the four know that they had an unknown spectator. Shizune walked towards Anko's home, planning on talking to the girls. She wanted to make sure they were all happy with him. She just wasn't sure it was possible for one young man to keep four women completely happy. She reached Anko's home and froze, feeling immense chakra pouring from the house. She shook lightly, knowing it was the Kyuubi's chakra. She cautiously approached a window to see Naruto pinning Anko to the wall. Anko didn't look afraid, instead her hand cupped his cheek. She looked at him with love. A second pair of arms capsuled his body. Hinata was behind him, now holding fast to him. After a few moments, Naruto's rage subsided. The two girls moved after looking at each other. They took his hands and led him into the bedroom. Shizune moved to watch. She was having trouble believing what she was seeing. Anko and Hinata were stripping each other. The two moved on Naruto. They both trailed their hands up his body. Oh my god! Shizune watched as Ayame joined in and the three sunk into their loving. Naruto fingered Hinata and Ayame while Anko him off. Naruto smiled as he made the two girls over and over. Hinata pressed herself against him. Her fingers ran over his bare chest, stopping once her hand met Ayame's. Their fingers intertwined. Naruto whispered something into Hinata's ear, causing her to blush and nod. Hinata pulled Ayame to her, pressing their lips together. Ayame quickly fell into their kiss. Shizune bit her lip as she watched. This was the hottest thing she had ever watched. Naruto, I want it first, Ayame begged. Naruto looked to Hinata and Anko, whom both conceded to Ayame as she was the newest. Okay Ayame, Naruto said, watching her mount him. She ed deeply as his penetrated her. Ayame quickly started to ride him, completely lost in the lust almost instantly. Shizune started to breath faster as she watched. She was getting hot, really hot. She unknowingly started to rub herself as she watched Naruto start thrusting upwards into Ayame. Ayame ed loudly, begging for him to her harder and harder. Hinata moved in, relocking her lips against Ayame, giving Naruto a nice show. Ayame shoved her tongue into Hinata's mouth, deeply enjoying their kisses. Anko ed out, gaining their attention. The two glanced to see Anko over Naruto's face getting tongued. Oh god Naruto! Anko ed as Naruto easily pushed her to her first climax with his Togun. Naruto! Ayame screamed out as he kicked his upwards thrusts into high gear. Hinata started to trail her kisses down Ayame's body. She kissed down her neck, over her and down to her womanhood. Ayame's ed grew even louder, feeling Hinata starting to at her. More, oh god, more, Ayame begged. Naruto gave Anko a light slap, letting her know he wanted up. Anko moved off him with weak legs. She was still reeling for her orgasm. Ayame didn't have time to register the change. She just knew she was suddenly on her back and Naruto was slamming into her with everything she had. She loved every second of it. Hinata had taken the initiative and crawled over Ayame. Give her a kiss. Naruto grinned, seeing Hinata blush. She never thought she would willingly move over and have another girl start eating her out. Ayame grinned and took to ing and fingering the in her face. Anko moved in her body against Naruto. He moved his hand to her, sliding 2 fingers in. Here it comes Ayame. Naruto groaned as he ready to blow. Wait, I want some, Anko said. So do I, Hinata said. Naruto grinned wickedly as an idea came to his mind. Line up, ladies, Naruto said, sliding out of Ayame. The three moved, sitting together, their mouths open and tongues out, waiting for their reward. Naruto took a moment, slapping his against each of their faces a few times before she started to jerk himself to his eruption. Naruto, the three said in unison. That was it for him. Naruto came, spraying his cum over their faces. As always, he came a ton and gave all three a good amount. He laid back and watching as the three started to kiss and up his cum. Naruto glanced, knowing they were being watched. He gave a nod to Anko, whom had also noticed it. She moved before their peeping Tom noticed. Shizune, Naruto said in shock, seeing the woman. I can explain, Shizune said. Naruto paused for a moment, then beckoned Ayame and Hinata to him. He whispered into their ears, getting them to smile and nod. No need, I know what you were doing, so why don't you take the lead? Naruto offered. What? Shizune asked in shock. You were touching yourself out there. Why don't you go all the way? Naruto said. Shizune bit her lip as she looked at Naruto hard. She didn't want to admit, but she did want to ride him. It's really fun, Ayame said lustfully, stroking Naruto slowly, making sure to keep him erect. Better than anyone you'll ever find, Anko said into Shizune's ear. That was the last straw for Shizune. She started to move, feeling Anko pull off her robe. Naruto smiled seeing her wet panties. Once she was in range, he quickly tore them from her. You won't need those. Naruto smiled as she bit her lip while climbing over him. Shizune gasped, feeling Anko slid her hand down her body. Naruto smiled lightly seeing Shizune squirm under Anko's fingers. Do you want him? Anko asked, whispering into Shizune's ear. Yes, Shizune said lightly. How badly do you want him? Ayame asked, moving into caressing her. I don't know, I just need it, Shizune replied. Her mind was going blank from lust and he hadn't even been penetrated yet. That doesn't work, he's ours. If you want it, you have to beg us to let you have it, Hinata said, surprising the others with her possessiveness of Naruto's. Please, I want to be Ed, Shizune said, trying to move closer to Naruto. Anko grinned, holding her in place. She lightly bit her ear while Ayame started at her. Shizune whimpered she was lost. She wanted him and they wouldn't let her. Please let me him, Shizune begged. Naruto gave a nod and the three moved away. Shizune crawled over Naruto, rubbing her womanhood over Naruto's. Naruto laid back and let her have the reins, letting her understand this was all her. Shizune lightly grabbed Naruto's, lined him up and slid down. She ed loudly as his thickness sunk into her kneed. Cunt. You're one of us now, Ayame said, kissing Shizune's cheek. Shizune nodded and started to ride him. She had already lost control of her hips. Shizune panted as she rode him. Anko had moved behind her, helping her ride him. Anko's hands moved over her body. One hand groped her while the other moved south. Naruto gulped lightly, watching Ayame and Hinata making out. They were really starting to like each other. Naruto smiled and beckoned them over. They didn't hesitate and moved to him. Keep going, but I want your, Naruto said, giving Hinata a light spank. Hinata nodded and moved over him, letting him her. Ayame smiled and sat on his chest so she could still have good access to her new friend. Ah, Naruto, Shizune ed as she climaxed onto his. Naruto groaned but managed to hold off. Hinata and Ayame continued to kiss lustfully over Naruto. Hinata's S seemed to echo through Ayame, causing her to write back. Give it to her, Naruto-sama, Anko said, lightly kissing and biting at Shizune's neck. Ayame and Hinata ed in approval, at least that what Naruto thought they did, and he gave, interrupting into Shizune. Shizune laid on Naruto right side with Anko behind her. She still groped her lightly. Naruto, can I be one of your girls? Shizune asked. Think about it. I don't want you making that decision in an ecstasy high, Naruto said. I'm not. I really want to be with you, Shizune said, kissing his chest. Then yes, of course you can, Naruto replied, getting a happy smile from Shizune. Sakura growled as she walked through the streets of Konoha. She didn't like that Naruto just brushed her off and she was going to give him a piece of her mind. She reached Naruto's apartment and stopped. She had forgotten that he didn't live there anymore. She turned to leave when a caught her ear. She knew that was Ino's voice, and it was inside Naruto's old apartment. She grabbed the handle and turned the knob. Sure enough, Naruto and Ino were inside and lustfully. Ino was on all fours, taking it like a bitch in heat. Ino, Sakura said in shock. The two stopped hearing Sakura's voice. Ino smiled at her friend. Hey Sakura, you wanna take a whack at him? Ino asked. In a way, Sakura said, clenching her fist. Oh come on, his is so damn good, Ino said, pushing back against Naruto. What happened to you? Sakura asked. I fell in love with him. I wish I had seen how great of a guy he was earlier, and I'm not talking about, I mean him, Ino said, pulling away. Yeah right, you're a slave, Sakura replied. No she's not. I broke all the contracts, Naruto said, causing Ino to freeze. What? Ino asked. When Ayame became mine, I decide that you girls should have full freedom like she would, and broke the contracts, Naruto replied. So the last month all four of us have been you and the contracts weren't making us lustful towards you? Ino asked. Nope. That was all you, Naruto smiled. Ino moved to him, kissing him lovingly. I love you, Naruto, Ino said, knowing she truly meant it now. And I you, Naruto replied. I don't believe you, you'd never fall for Naruto, Sakura replied. Shut up. Either leave us alone for good, or us, Ino smiled. Sakura took a step back. She didn't want to admit she had wanted him since he had beaten Pain but never told him. Naruto smiled seeing her take a step back. Told you, she's still all Sasuke-kun, Naruto said, rolling his eyes before for he pulled Ino close to him. Yeah, but Sasuke isn't here, you are, Ino smiled. Sakura stood unable to decide what she wanted to do. Yes, she still wanted Sasuke, but he had taken up wandering but supposedly was still loyal to the leaf now. Fine. Sakura gave in, she was overly stressed so could help her relieve some of that. Really? Then strip and give Naruto a blowjob, Ino said, stroking Naruto lightly. I don't do blowjobs, tit, handjobs or anal. You can have mine, that's it, Sakura replied. I say her until her mind breaks, Kurama's voice echoed out. Naruto smiled and nodded. Sakura assumed he had agreed, and he had to Kurama. He was done with Sakura. All the abuse, neglect and outright bitchiness was going to bite her in the now. Naruto decided that she deserved this. Sakura stripped out of her cloths and walked over. Naruto whispered in Ino's ear, getting her to nod and move off the bed. Let's just get this over with, I could use to blow off some steam, Sakura said, annoying Naruto even more. The last thing he was going to be was stress relief. No, he was going give her the of a lifetime. Sakura laid and spread her legs. She had completely taken emotion out of. Now Naruto was going to her like the horse she was acting like. Naruto lined up and looked to Sakura, who gave him a nod. A grin cracked over his face and in one shove he completely buried himself into Sakura's. Out a much at once, Sakura punched him. Hey, I don't like being used for stress relief, so I am going to you until you understand why you shouldn't piss me off, Naruto growled and started to her. Sakura screamed in pain as he brutally ed her. Naruto is raping me, Sakura thought, unable to remove him. Oh, and before you think you can get him in trouble. Remember you agreed, and also just walked into Naruto's house, you're trespassing, Ino whispered as Naruto slammed into her. Stop. Please, I'm sorry, Sakura cried out. It's okay, Sakura, it only hurts at first, give it a few and you'll be begging for his big fat, Ino said, kissing Naruto. And Ino was right. Before Sakura knew it, the pain was gone and an abundance of pleasure had taken its place. She couldn't hold back her s any longer. The first one escaped her lips and Ino started to laugh. I told you, he's the best, Ino replied, kissing Naruto. Sakura clenched her teeth. She didn't want to give him the pleasure of knowing she was enjoying herself. God, gently please, Sakura begged. No, you don't want that, Naruto's gentle is mind obliterating, Ino warned. Gentle please, Sakura screamed, ignoring Ino. Have it your way, Naruto replied. His thrusts slowed to a crawl, but somehow the pleasure went through the roof. His slow thrusts hit everywhere inside her. Sakura couldn't stop her s, she fell into a sea of euphoric ecstasy and drowned in desire. Oh God, Naruto, Sakura ed out. In just a few thrusts he pushed her over the edge. She couldn't believe such a slow pace shattered away her mind. She was going completely blank. Her hands gripped the sheets of the bed while her legs hooked around his waist. Don't stop. Never stop, Sakura begged. All of her desires seemed to melt away underneath Naruto. He lightly kissed at her neck while his hands groped and caressed her, paying special attention to her s. He rolled her stiffened s under his thumb while he lightly bit and kissing from her chin to her collar. Told you, you're going to break and become useless, Ino said, now watching and touching herself as Naruto pushed Sakura to climax after climax. Her walls tightly gripped Naruto, doing everything to get him off, but he seemed immune. Come in me please, Sakura begged. She needed to feel his seed inside of her. Sorry, but at my gentler pace it takes forever for me to come, Naruto replied, keeping his slow and filling thrusts going. He didn't pick up his pace no matter how badly Sakura begged for him to now, he was set on shattering her mind. And he was getting close. Sakura didn't have much left, she could hardly put two and two together anymore. The only thing that mattered was getting Naruto's cum. Please, I want your cum, please, Sakura begged and begged. Oh, take some pity on her and give it to her, Ino said as she climaxed. She hated using her fingers now, they never did enough compared to her well-hung love. Naruto gave her a nod and picked up his pace. He went from his slow pleasure-filled thrusts to his brutal vulgar thrusts and caused Sakura to scream in pleasure. You want it, here it comes, Naruto replied, blowing into Sakura. Her eyes rolled back and darkness overtook her. She passed out the instant his seed hit her womb. Tsunade sat behind her desk, her hand over her forehead. Shizune hadn't returned from getting tea. Tsunade knew what she had really done and it must have backfired. She was now probably going to be one of Naruto's many girls now. Just like she knew Sakura was, she had been told of a noise complaint in Naruto's old apartment and that Sakura was last seen around there. He's going to need a bigger house, Tsunade joked, then mentally slapped herself. I need to cut this off, she added, trying to think of a way. The idea hit her like a brick. She would take him away from his women and take him with her to the Cage Summit meeting that was now held yearly after the Chunin exams. He wouldn't be able to shit there. None of the women there would be weak to the heroic presence he had here. Yup, that will work. Tsunade grinned, knowing that's just what she would do, then she lowered her head. That's still 2 weeks away. How many more women would he subdue by then? Maybe even she would slip up if she wasn't careful. Then there was the fact that the Cage Summit could do the exact opposite. The thought of Naruto nailing the Mizukage or one of the Raikage's female followers could be potentially catastrophic. Shit, what am I going to do? Tsunade said, dropping her head to her desk.